Hey y'all. Sprinkle, sprinkle. How are y'all? Okay, so today we're going to be talking about sound frequencies, magic and the occult. Okay, it's been a little bit, couple of days, maybe a week or two since I've been up here. So how are y'all this evening? Okay, thank y'all for waiting. I see a few of y'all in the comments. So, sound frequency. What do y'all know about that? Ooh. Um, Everything has a vibration, everything has a frequency, everything has a measurement of vibration, frequency, and sound. And even things that you see that appear solid are vibrating at a certain frequency. So, uh, everything is frequency. And depending on what frequency you're dealing with, is going to determine how you walk, talk, think, act, the decisions you make, and everything. So, very interesting, right? So, if y'all listen to music, a lot of y'all already know that some of those frequencies in the music, in the songs, and in whatever you're listening to, some are good and some are bad, or some are negative. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say good or bad. I'm saying some are positive, some are negative, some bring your frequency lower, some bring it higher. Some cause anxiety, some cause feelings of bliss, joy, happiness, and love and so forth and so on. So whatever it is that you are listening to can also affect how you live your day-to-day life. So a lot of music that people are listening to causes anxiety. And a lot of artists know this and they are paid or they put it in their song on purpose or some. And this is not conspiracy theory. It's just fact. You can look it up. It's not conspiracy theory. It's so true. Because if you put out a song on a certain key with a certain frequency and a certain tempo and a certain beat, it's going to create a certain frequency. And if you measure that and you see it's at a certain level or a certain number of hertz, and you know that certain number of hertz, scientifically, theoretically causes certain things and people to act a certain way, then it's science at that point, or at least, theory. So a lot of people understand what they're doing in the music. And that's why some music you feel calm when you listen to it, relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed. And then there's some that you feel like, you know, after it, and you feel like you got to go, make some good in the world or something. And then there's some music where you're like, oh, I just don't feel like doing anything today. And I don't like this person. And I'm going to go hate on this person. And, I don't feel good about, things. And, you start looking for problems and stuff like that because of the frequency of some of these music frequencies that y'all are listening to. So I definitely would say if you're living in a state of confusion, it could be your music. It literally could. So check that out. And AI is so good. If you just search or Google what frequency or what frequency of hertz is such and such song in, it literally will tell you if you have the updated version of, you know, all your technology and phones and stuff. They will literally tell you, because that's how I do my research. So, of course, y'all know we got to welcome in our reoccurring guest, Terraine Hicks, so we can talk about this and talk back and forth, because he's an occultist. So we're going to go ahead and welcome in Terraine Hicks, y'all. Sprinkle, sprinkle, welcome.
What up?
What's up?
Back again.
Yes, we back again to discuss. And I almost went down a rabbit hole last night researching so much about sound frequencies, music, songs, da da da. I had to stop myself because I was going too far. So, if y'all don't know who Terraine is, I'm gonna introduce you. If y'all are new, but y'all should already know Terraine Hicks from the Occult College. He has a YouTube channel as well on these YouTube streets. I'm getting ready to link his YouTube channel so y'all can go follow him. It's in the description, and I just linked it here. So, what do you think about the music and the frequencies, Terraine?
Well, that's my thing with mantras and chanting and all that stuff. But one thing a lot of people don't know is that uh, in more ancient times, music actually used to be regarded as a spiritual discipline, right? In more ancient times, the only people allowed to touch an instrument were actual very high-ranking priests. So you would learn a specialized priestcraft, and then you would learn you were allowed to touch an instrument. And then later on, music became a thing for entertainment.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so knowing that music and sound frequency, that's like that. It's everything, right? And this is why certain artists, right, are like very highly revered, because they are not just artists, they're sorcerers, because of this fact alone.
Because
So that's the first thing I could say.
I know, and like when you are charging your ouds and your oils and stuff, you use sound frequency to charge them, and that's why they're so powerful. That's why they work, and all that kind of good stuff. So some people, like, I've heard of like singing bowls and those little brass bowls and the gongs and stuff like that. And when you can feel the frequency from those objects, like sonar waves. They use a lot of this technology to levitate particles, liquid, water, and that's literally how the hovercraft would probably work if it was invented. But it's all through sound, like reflecting off of the other objects and stuff like that, or with each other, like with other sound waves. But in music, like my favorite artist in the whole world, Michael Jackson.
MJ.
Yes, look, MJ, sprinkle, sprinkle. I was researching a lot of things about his music and what frequency he recorded in and what frequency his songs were on. And he was a little shady when he came out with Thriller, because Off the Wall was not accepted in high regards with the Grammys. And so I looked up the hertz, like the frequency hertz that Off the Wall was recorded in, and it was a positive one, right? Like the songs, like a lot of the songs on Off the Wall. And then I looked up what Thriller, that particular song, was recorded in. And I think Thriller was more of his like powerful takeover, I'm going to cause you to worry, I'm going to take this industry over type energy, because I took notes, and the frequency that he recorded it in was slightly lower than the one he recorded Off the Wall in. And the frequency that he recorded Thriller in was a number that meant power, royalty, takeover, war, this type of energy, spiritual. It was in the Mercury frequency, trickster energy frequency, because and then also if you added up some of the numbers that was also in there, if you do some numerology, it comes out to something that was like eternal, like the number 8. So I do have the notes on that, and I'll probably get into it later, but basically it was his like slap in the face saying, if you don't accept what the frequency of love and the frequency of this and that, then I'm going to take it all. I'm going to just take it from you.
Yeah, that was his plan. That was clearly his plan when like any occultist looks at like the hertz and stuff that he was playing with, we know that it was some serious rebellious energy, and a lot of the frequencies that he used, especially in the early part of his career, were
Mhm.
opposite of what everybody else was using.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Everybody else was using frequencies that dealt with conforming,
Hmm.
and he was using the frequencies that dealt with rebelling.
He sure did. And I'm trying to look for my notes, so that's why I'm looking down, but at my phone. But um, definitely true, because he definitely changed that frequency up on purpose from every other album that he ever had, and every other type of song that it went totally different when he put out Thriller, and that was the whole huge change
Mhm.
that took over the industry.
Even that, he definitely single-handedly decided to attack the industry with sound frequency and also symbolism.
Hmm.
But
Got my
his source, right? But the sorcery was the sound frequency, right?
yes.
And then playing with the angelic tones
Hmm.
to attack the establishment.
Hmm.
So that's the deal with MJ.
Yes. And like the first song on that album, "Wanna Be Starting Something," right? Or the first song that he always does in the concert. It's in a good frequency, 432 hertz, which is positive effect on the body mind, reduces stress and it reduces anxiety and negative energies, right? So that's why he always starts off with that song in his stuff. But then, like, you know, he also is telling you, like, so he can go in and out of, the war type negativity and like attacking and rebellious into, his more spiritual side and his more loving side, because he's able to do balance on both sides. So he's telling you that a lot too in some of his music with sound frequency. So like on the beginning of the song "Smooth Criminal," it starts off with his heartbeat, and that's like his frequency. And it's literally his heartbeat. If you look it up, it's like do 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 do. So he's putting his heartbeat on it, and then it goes zoom, like a sonic wave, like a zoom, and then the "Smooth Criminal" song comes on, right? Because he was a smooth criminal when he threw that quarter in the machine and took over the music industry, like on the "Smooth Criminal" video. That was his introduction into like saying, I'm just gonna walk into place and I'm gonna be a smooth criminal and take over the whole industry. And the whole music industry, which was the symbolism of throwing the coin in the jukebox, which was buying everybody's masters, the Beatles masters, taking over the industry, doing this and that. And that was on the Bad album. So he was going further into it and like literally just taking it over, using the frequencies and the hertz and the symbolisms, his heartbeat over it, naming the album, certain things and songs, certain things. And he was telling you what he was doing the whole time. But if you listen to the music, he does protect people with the videos and the whole thing. That's why he made visual videos to go along with the sound, because he allows you to escape if that's not intended for you. And I know that sounds weird. That's why he used the symbolism of the cat a lot, because it's a interdimensional, like we discussed last video, it's an interdimensional animal that can shift in and out of different dimensions spiritually, and it can see beyond what others see. And then the cat's frequency is like very high, especially the black cat, which is why he used the Black Panther a lot, and also why he turned into a werecat on Thriller, because he was allowing like a lot of stuff to be seen, like you said, visually. So I'm gonna let you go in on that because I know you got something to say.
Oh yeah, so the stuff with the cat, that's all codes for time travel,
Hmm.
right? And also a lot of the frequencies that he was playing with, he was able to go into the past and into the future and move to and fro. And we all, according to science and quantum mechanics, we can time travel through sound.
Hmm.
So, you know, that's the whole thing. The stuff with the werewolf, the shape shifting and stuff like that, all of that occurs through sounds. You know what I'm saying? There's certain mantras that invoke shape shifting. If we have the DNA to do it, we can do it. But a lot of the times, a sound will get us to turn into the various forms that may be embedded in our DNA. So
Yeah,
straight occult master Michael Jackson. Yeah.
that's where I learned from.
Mhm,
Well, one of the many sources, but like one of the main sources that caught my attention
mhm,
to understand what he was doing. Like I was, and when you listen to a lot of other artists' songs, that like these newer artists that aren't really hands-on with their music, but just let other people, do their stuff and they just talk over it, it's not the same thing. Because like a lot of the artists back in the old days, especially Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, and they were like very hands-on with their music and frequency and blending together of voices. Like um and there was a couple of tricks that he used, like making the chipmunk voice in the background of PYT, and then the lower tone voice in some of the other parts, and then his regular tone voice. Like he was playing with different dimensions, different frequencies, and pushing it all together, um, so that it would create like its own world, I guess, like its own world, literally. So
mhm.
past
Yeah.
history, past, present, and future. You know,
Yep.
um, so like too high to get over, too low to get under. You stuck in the middle, and the pain is thunder. So that's from "Wanna Be Starting Something." So that's why he played around with lots of different tones and stuff in his music, because you can't beat this. It's
Right.
done.
Right. And even his name, Michael, is a name. The sound from his name is one who will be undefeated or very victorious, especially in battle.
Hmm.
So even his name uh pretty much designated him for the job to be able to do that,
Hmm.
right? And it's the sound chords on his name. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is that like your name can pretty much determine what you're capable of, right? And this is why we understand that naming is important. But
Hmm.
naming, and your name is attached to a number. Your name is there's a number behind every letter. There's a numerical behind it, and behind the numerical is a sound chord.
Hmm.
So this is all going back to sound frequency. It's all
Yes.
going back to sound frequency.
And when you speak a name, it goes back to sound frequency. When you write a name, it goes to sound frequency because of the numbers. And when you read a name, it still equates to sound frequency because your brain has to, fire off neurons, which causes the frequency. So everything is a frequency. Yes. And, that's why words are so important. But if you put music behind it, voice, songs, frequencies, instruments, it becomes a whole universe.
Yeah. In ancient times, the musicians were cultivated from the age that Michael Jackson was cultivated, like 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm.
And then by the time they were around 18, they were able to master the chords.
Hmm.
So the most recent example of a sorcerer from that was into music is Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
So when we look at Michael Jackson, we know that like musicians from 2-3 thousand years ago were on that level. But in today's age, we don't have an example of that,
Right.
right? So
And
that's exactly what you're saying.
and even the word album, like an album, people used to record albums back in the day, and album means blank book or blank tablet to fill up with collections. So it's really a creation of a whole universe or a whole story. But like a lot of people don't do albums anymore, and even the vinyl album has the grooves in it for the sound to be picked up, and more it's more effective in the sound waves when you listen to a vinyl album. So the word album is like albus, which is like blank or clear or pure, and then they just fill it up with their story or their frequency. But now it's everything is digital and there is no album. There's just one or two songs on, a beat that AI might have made. So it's not the same thing. So when you listen to old music, or when you have real musicians that are still creating real music, it's going to be more powerful in frequency, and it's going to have more of an effect on people and more of an influence on people than the other stuff that's not really doing that.
Yeah.
And also, I found something like, of course, like if you want to go back to ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet, they knew all of this and they used it. A lot of stuff that they did was literally with acoustics and sounds. So I don't know. Do you know something about that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, even the language, which is called the Medu Neter, right? It was a language that you sang. You didn't speak it. The entire language was sung.
Mm-hmm.
So every word was part of singing. So the entire language was like that. And that language, it inspired a very close cohabitation between humans and interdimensional beings. Because once again, when we're regularly using certain sound chords, right? A lot of the sound chords in ancient Kemet was galactic tones,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we had this more regular interaction with alien beings, right? And because of that, the way the buildings and all that stuff was built, the acoustics was just right. Because a lot of, what do you call it? Aliens are so far out. The only way we get to interact with them regularly is through sound travel. But
Right.
we have to use the right chords regularly, and that's what they mastered in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I want to get back to that because I have some stuff to add to it as well. But someone's asking, do you think there's a flip side to overusing sound frequencies in non-sacred places like the music industry or non-initiated ways? All the celebs who use occult secrets and go big, but end up dead or addicted.
I don't think that they're that very well trained
Mm-hmm.
in what we're talking about to answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing with sound is you can't overdo sound because there's no digestion phase of taking in sound. So that's something
Right.
to think about.
It only just changes your frequency.
That's
Right.
it.
So a lot of these artists who are master occultists, if you know anything about alchemy, a lot of the master occultists or a lot of the alchemists literally fake their deaths a lot as a form of humbling themselves in order to be okay with leaving behind the ego or the fame. A lot of these people literally fake their deaths sometimes in order to bow out and allow other people to thrive because they were too high, they were doing too good. So a lot of people will bow out, or they will, like in my opinion, I don't know, y'all don't have to believe me if you won't, but a lot of people bow out and they disappear on purpose. Some do, some don't. We're just gonna say that.
I agree with that, especially if they're masterful in like things like music and fame. You
Hmm.
get to a point where you want to dissolve the ego and you
Hmm.
bow out, and I'm gonna let someone else take over. I got other things to do.
Right.
I agree
And
with that.
a lot of times people people will do that, and the place won't get taken for a long time, or someone will try to take that next level or that next place, and which gives more people hope and make them strive harder and make them want to live up to a certain legacy, which then makes that person quote unquote a legend, or on the status of sort of divine, because that's who they have to look to um as the greatest. The
Hmm.
great work creates the greatest, and then you go. So a lot of people don't realize that, but if you study alchemy and the occult, you know that some people uh, they they go when they choose to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the whole point of being an alchemist.
Hmm.
Yep.
So, and a lot of people go because also they don't want to be part of certain of the negative aspects of some business, not the frequencies or the tones or anything, but a lot of people don't like when like people start to use this information in magic or the occult in a negative way. So they just, take themselves out of the whole equation and go do something else because some people get what they say power hungry and think that they can do A, B, C, and D. But at the end of the day, there's one frequency that can overpower all those frequencies and take everything down. And the one type of frequency that can do that is that rebellious frequency that somebody recently had to come back out with, even though he was called crazy, and start telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, Kanye. So that's why he could say, I'm Michael Jackson. And people will look at him crazy. He's like, that's me now. They were like, oh my God, they think Kanye is Michael. No, he's saying he has to take the position in order to bring things back to the way it's supposed to be. He has to take the position, not in music, but in standing up in that rebellious way against the negativity in the industry.
I want to add a lot of these sorcerers, right? Like a Kanye or Michael Jackson. They've been doing this for thousands of years. They come into the plane. They stir stuff up. They leave. They pass the torch. They've been doing that for a long time
Mm-hmm.
since ancient Egypt, right? If they're that masterful with music, their soul has been doing it for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's really cool to watch the sorcery and the mastery of the sound chords at play from these people who've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and if you go and watch the video Thriller, the part on the movie where they're watching the movie on the screen and he's eating the popcorn, if you listen real carefully what they're trying to say in the background of the movie, the dude says, uh, this blood like this hasn't been seen on the planet for 25 million years. And I said, wait a minute, rewind what he's talking about. Um, Brawled in blood, see you next Wednesday, and like all of those things are meaningful. Everything that in that whole video is meaningful, but the whole part about the bloodline, the ancient blood, the frequency, the sound, um, and all this kind of stuff, the obelisk in the background of Thriller, they're talking definitely about alien space, Egypt, bloodline,
we,
frequency.
we've always been able to extract occult secrets through poets and musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been able to extract that for thousands of years. So an occultist would keep watching Thriller and keep listening for the codes and listen for the sound chords and discover more and more and more secrets.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is fun because every time you watch it, if you watch it with fresh eyes, you'll find something new.
I agree.
You have like different dimensions on the whole video. You have 2D, which is, the flat movie screen. But you don't know it's 2D when it starts off because then you're in that world and it looks 3D, but it's back in time. So that's 5D right there because you can time travel. So it's like you said, time travel. That's what it's all about. Um, and so if you're able to play with dimensions through sound, visuals, videos, references to the past through fashion and da da da, then you're able to take your audience or your viewer or whoever is being affected by whatever you're doing on this journey as your witness.
Right.
If they like it and they agree with it and they become your fans or your cheerleaders, it's even more powerful. And that's how that's how you take over. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the king of pop, that's a real energetic, right? That's a serious rank to have, right? And I don't think people understand how serious that is,
I do.
right?
I made videos about it 10 years ago.
They
POP.
the last person to have that much fame and clout was Asar from
Mhm.
ancient Egypt. So it's been a long time before somebody had that level of power.
Right.
Mhm.
And like a lot of people don't realize, like even the Christian version, the Prince of Peace, the pop, same thing. Um, the same type of frequency is going on right there. I think that's why they chose that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Mhm.
Yep, yep.
Um, and a lot of people don't realize when, like, okay, so we talked about MJ, Prince. What do you think about him and his music?
Same thing. Just I would say different star system of alien, but similar magical talent. Clearly, I just think just a different strand of alien,
Mm-hmm.
right? One is like one is a like an angelic warrior type of energy that could just go to and fro, and the other one uh with a lot of power, uh it had more of a private organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like a very confined palace.
Mm-hmm.
This so Michael was able to just go to and fro and just wreak havoc. The other one has this empire that just really stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, how do you okay, so Goddess Laurel asks, how do you maintain high vibration if you're around sounds that affect your subconscious negatively? Or if you don't want to receive that outside programming from what music is doing or what sounds are trying to do. How do you
I,
protect yourself?
I would say get a singing bowl,
Hmm.
a good Tibetan singing bowl, and play it regularly. Learn how to play it 15, 20 minutes a day. And that will keep you that it'll keep the negative sound frequency away from you, and it will deflect the negativity that you probably can't avoid. It's hard to avoid negative sound frequency in 2024.
That's true. Um, a lot of people also listen to those like frequency videos, or I have singing bowls too. So, however you choose to do it, but you could definitely research that. But I do agree, the singing bowls, because once your frequency is changed from this frequency of the singing bowl, that's what you're emitting. And if it's repelling negative energy, your every cell in your body is then repelling that negative energy. So that's why
Yeah.
people can walk through a room and their aura is just, you know.
What I used to do back in the day, like it would probably be like a week at a time that I would just listen to like 432 hertz or 522 hertz. And I wouldn't listen to no music or anything. I would just listen to the frequency, and I would just listen to the own vibration for like a week straight.
Hmm.
And a lot of time it was to deflect the negative energy and to keep me in one frequency. So I would do that for a week at a time back in the day.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I want to talk back about Prince. So he was really good with instruments and creating those sounds with like instruments and producing and being a literal like musician as far as being able to use instruments of sound as well as his voice. um and I think when you're able to, take inanimate objects that are created for sound, of course, and also use that to embellish your own frequency, create music and all that kind of stuff. It's a very creative energy as well. And I think Prince was more of a like you said, he was private, but I believe that he was a lot more spiritual versus an occultist. So he was more into the spirituality of it, in my opinion, than he was in the occult of it, like the occult meanings of things. But he was into the occult meaning of things, but I think he was more into the spirituality of it and feeling it and the creation of it. And it kind of like fed him. And it also like allowed him to show, his talents and skills and all that kind of stuff at the same time. But I think he took it more seriously as a spiritualist versus an occultist.
I can see that.
Hmm.
One of the things with Prince, so those instruments are weapons, right? At using it on a high level, the instruments are like galactic weapons. But then also, I feel like the power that Prince had as I guess spiritualist, um, with that much talent, made him untouchable
Hmm.
amongst the powers that be in his prime. And I think that's a testament to just how powerful music is as a
Hmm.
spiritual asset. Yeah.
And if a lot of people like you as an artist, and let's say someone tries to bring you down or to, throw dirt on your name, I mean, your fans aren't going to really allow that because, they're there for you. But, with a lot of stuff that's happening in, this day and age, people are more, I think a lot of people are more into trying to have like this. I don't want to say anything negative, but a lot of people believe anything they hear these days before they research things. And so a lot of people don't do their research anymore because I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw stuff that was literally untrue, like scientifically. And people are and literally believing stupid stuff because people are just trying to get clicks and likes on their video. And when someone is teaching you something in a serious voice or giving you a news story or fake news in a serious voice just to get clicks because they have nothing else to offer, literal people will sit there and believe it, share it, and then they'll start spreading the information, which is all, and it starts to make I think the younger generations look real stupid compared to their elders, because I've heard the stupidest things come out of people's mouths that were scientifically incorrect because they found it on TikTok. And people are like literally saying it as truth, and it's just making like I would be embarrassed. That's why, I need to do some research. Like seriously. Like it's Google is free and you can literally research all this stuff scientifically or get your backup facts. Okay. But don't be doing that.
Exactly.
Okay. He would have okay, sprinkle, sprinkle. Someone says Prince would have loved me. Ha ha. I met Prince twice. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Thank you, girl. That girl figure. I did meet Prince twice. So he was a very ethereal. I'm using the word ethereal. He was an ethereal being because that's just the aura he gave out.
Mhm.
And very interesting person, very chill, very laid back.
Right.
The energy was very laid back. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you a question. You know me and my questions.
Yep.
All right. In your opinion on Michael Jackson's song, Wanna Be Starting Something.
Mhm.
Um, why does he throw in Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa? Because I did the research on this, but why do you think he put that phrase in there?
I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that.
I'm just saying your opinion. It's not a right or wrong. I just want to
Um,
know because everybody has their own opinion. I had my opinion before I did the research.
I don't. I'm not coming up with nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So according to whatever I researched, why did he put that in there? It has two different meanings.
Okay.
One meaning is in a different language, and it means mama, like listen to your mother, or mama's always right, or something like that. And then the other meaning is um, dance or keep dancing, or it's all about the frequency, the frequency of a
Hmm.
mother, or the mother's frequency, or the mother's something about a mother's frequency.
Okay.
And that's why mama say, mama sa, mama kusa, like kusa means dance. And the other part is in a whole nother language. And it's talking about, I have it in here. Hold on. I'm trying to look for it. Okay. Um, Basically it's an old saying. If you look it up, it'll tell you on Google. It's a saying from, I forgot the language. I think it starts with a D, but it definitely means mama's always right, or listen to your mother, or something like that. So, and then he, like, when he did that song, like he put a lot of information in that song that made a lot of people mad. Like he was spilling the tea a lot in that song. And, but that was, part of the whole rebellion thing, as you were saying. And that's what
This-
got people like
Oh,
upset in the beginning.
yeah. This is a deep situation here because he even said that he gets some of his music channeled through communication with angels.
Hmm.
So his angels could have very well been telling him, "All right, put this out now,"
Okay.
right? And then maybe also calling the energy of the Great Mother, the Divine Feminine,
Yeah, I found
or reminding everyone the Divine Feminine is gonna set things in order sooner or later. So listen to your mom, or you in trouble.
it. Right. It's a Zulu proverb. I found it on my notes.
Okay.
It's a Zulu proverb that means a mother knows best.
Mhm.
And then yeah. So, and he always, like,
So, see,
was very mom.
those are serious messages, right? So, like, this is one of the reasons his music is timeless
Hmm.
because we can always go through the albums, download information for how to behave on the planet.
Hmm. And that's why I use that phrase whenever I'm joking around and like saying I'm exercising dust demons, and like when I'm like, doing, like, how people say, oh, you gonna put a spell on me, or you gonna exercise some dust demons, and I just say, mama say, mama sa, ma kusa, I rebuke you, da, da, da. And literally that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's-
let's not forget how rich this sorcerer was,
Mhm.
right? So, I feel like his music, the frequencies also were also directly tied to wealth, money
Mhm.
manifestation, because those are high vibrational frequencies,
Mhm.
angelic tones,
Right.
and angelic tones are wealth tones.
Right.
Yep.
And a lot of people, okay, a lot of people who are scared of the occult knowledge, magic, da da da, and they oh, that's wrong. That's not how you do it. That's evil. And if you spend money, you evil. Money is a currency and a frequency, and there's spells all over it. There's spells all over your credit cards, all over your banks, all over the symbols that your banks have. So if you touch money, if you touch credit cards, if you have a bank, you're doing magic too. Just so y'all know.
I think that it's a sin to not provide for your children and your family. I
Right.
think that's evil.
It's evil to say things are evil that you don't understand, because a lot of times it's not evil. and you're probably part of something that's very similar to it, but it's just written or described in a different manner that you're used to and acceptable. So a lot of
Right.
times, like if we were to say stuff in mundane blah language, you would agree with it 100%. But if we use the word occult, magic, or spell, you think it's evil because that's what you've been programmed to think.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. We're saying the same things that most people say in a church.
Yeah.
It literally is.
Mhm.
So even the way the churches are built are to create sound frequency in the church to give you a certain vibration. Some people build churches to give you a vibration to contribute to that building fund.
Even the tone in which a reverend preacher speaks in it's linked to a frequency or orator's tone, and that tone is for brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all sound. This is all sound. Some people use it for good, some people use it for evil.
Mm-hmm. Some people buy those scents or those like it's like a air freshener or a scent that people pump through the air conditioning units to make you want to spend money or give, like, and they put that in them church, some of them mega churches too, so they can collect their building fund. I mean, you think the church ain't in on it too?
Yeah, church is definitely in on it. A lot of people have a hard time leaving the church because they grew up in the choir and they are entrained, their brains are entrained to seek the frequency of the choir songs. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes time to, to develop, to leave the church, they have a hard time because they were in the choir for so long.
Mm-hmm.
This is all a big brainwashing operation.
Yeah, they were programmed with the sound and the music and the frequency of the message that the songs that they were singing. So a lot of people like who listen to gospel and church music, they're programmed harder. So you're right.
Yeah.
If you never grew up listening to gospel or like church music, you're easily able to, learn other things without feeling some type of religious guilt behind learning that
Yes.
knowledge. So
Yep.
true. So how would you suggest to unprogram that type of music, the singing bowl? Or is it
The
too
church, the church stuff.
the music of the church or the gospel music?
I would say it would be the singing bowls and stuff, right? It would be the binaural beats, the singing bowls, right? So 777 frequency, 528, 720 frequency, 444 frequency. If you just listen to those raw tones, it will entrain pieces of your mind back to a more pure, unbiased state.
Right.
That way you can think for yourself.
Or you could change the words like Prince did with Purple Rain. That was a spiritual song. Like it was a religious song in the old days. I
Hmm.
think it's called God Will Reign.
Yeah, God will reign. Yep.
He
You can
changed it to
change the
purple
words. Hmm.
and made it even bigger than the other song, which became more impactful. So
Hmm.
this is why a lot of these artists sample old music or change the words around or take something old and make it new. Because if their fame can push that frequency that people are familiar with, they can reprogram them from whatever that original frequency programmed to do. And since it's familiar, or they're gonna like it naturally because they grew up with it. Like if somebody put an Isley Brothers sample on the back of a song, but put some rap lyrics over, they may not like the whatever the person is rapping, but they like the Isley Brothers song, so they're gonna listen to it and then get programmed by whatever is being rapped over.
Right. So, a lot of modern rap, pop music, all that stuff comes from old school church music. And a lot of the old school church music that comes from old school classical, like East Indian tones and spiritual music. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So everybody's like kind of copying something because it worked before.
Right.
So like if y'all ever look into the history of that, it will blow y'all mind.
Yep. And if you can reprogram someone with something that they're familiar with, it's very, very easy to do.
That's why the remix is so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a remix. It's a remix.
And if you're an original, if you're like Michael Jackson, he took little bits and pieces from people that he admired, but he didn't put whole other people's songs over his, you know what I'm saying? Or under his. He created something new. It wasn't until people couldn't create on that level anymore that they had to start sampling. So
Right.
there was some shift that happened where people weren't as creative anymore, and they just started sampling because they couldn't touch that highest frequency.
I have come to a hypothesis that when he died, the sampling got even crazier, as far as and the musicians got even more lazy with music. Now it's just nothing but copying and sampling, and because the king died.
Well, yeah, because you can't really you can't keep making the same old stuff over and over, and nobody can do anything better. So they just sample everything now, or they sound like something else, or they just like movies. They keep remaking movies instead of doing new stuff that's original.
Right.
So
Yep.
I think when we come to that, like people wanting to remake stuff and remake stuff and remake stuff, and even when they do remake these movies, they stick little pieces in that weren't in the original movie, to update the program. But at the same time, even if they're, doing that with music, movies and sounds and things like that, the original sound was made for the original words or the original meaning of that. So if it's conflicting with whatever it is that's being, pushed, or whatever the words that are put over it, it's a trick. That's trickster energy right there.
And I feel like this is one of the main reasons that we have so much confusion on the planet right now. Because a lot of the trickster energy, because the original is no longer the original, and it's been remixed and remixed and remixed, and then you got just nothing but confusion from that.
But whenever I feel like, I go and listen to some old music, or whatever, it literally changes my perspective on everything I've been thinking, like just by listening to something that's not from the modern era. I'll go and listen to some music from like the 80s or the 90s, or the 70s, and my whole perspective and ideas and frequency will just totally change, because it's like you can like breathe. It's like a higher, deeper inhalation of being able to like expand your frequency.
Yeah, and it feels a lot more peaceful. Right? This is all because of sorcery. Right? I think that there is a currency of musical power right now, and the wrong hands have it. Like the A&Rs and stuff like that control the frequency in which music must be played. There's something called the devil's tone, where like legally most sound frequency has to be at a certain tone, and they call it the devil's tone, and that's what we're taking in right now, and it's stressing the masses out. But the old music from like the 70s and stuff like that, there wasn't a rule for it to be played in this specific tone.
So if you do the singing bowls, or you listen to older music, like that quote unquote devil frequency can't really mess with you, because your frequency is already repelling it.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I would say that. And I believe in that very, very strongly. Like every day I'm playing something ancient in my home. Like I have a speaker that fills up the entire house because I'm that fixated on making sure the frequency is not like how the outside world has it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what about, okay, so when you talk about frequency and you combine it with certain things like let's like light, like you could create, if you know, sound frequencies and light frequencies, what does that create together?
Well, sound has light in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to think about.
Oh, because if it vibrates at a certain rate, it'll start to make like a laser or something.
Right. So it's already light, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, a lot of us know Roy G. Biv,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that those colors have frequency. So yeah, right. So green is relaxing, purple is royalty, red it can be a lot more primal, orange can be like a lot more sexual. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. That's like very, very, very important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So light and color, when you combine that, you got something that is wholesome to your environment. So me personally, I like to hang out in purple light. I like
Mm-hmm.
my house to be the entire house. I like it to be very bright purple. Sometimes I turn it to pink,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I really want to chill, I make sure the light is green, like
Mm-hmm.
very bright green, right? So yeah, but it would be bright green, but like what you said with the ohm vibration playing. I gotta stay in that zen.
Mm-hmm. I got my incense going. My oud. It's
Oh, I like that.
a little electric oud burner.
Oh, that is so cool. I like that.
You could charge it and mama say, mama sa, mama kusa everywhere.
So yeah, so the incense, right? The light and the sound. That's it.
Yeah.
Those three things create a big frequency. So we stay, so that we can stay in a bubble. And it doesn't matter so much what the outside world is doing with their chaos.
Mm-hmm. And another thing about the oud and the incense, like when you smell this, it smells like royalty. Like it smells like rich. It smells like
So
luxury. It smells like somebody's palace or
so
something.
so I want to say something about that because you did mention that like I play sounds and stuff like that and chant over my oud. A lot of the oud from Dubai and stuff like that, the really good stuff is prayed over,
Mm-hmm.
right? For hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So when you get to smell the oud, it has the sounds, the prayers inside of it, right?
And it's an old tree.
Yes,
So it has
right.
the frequency of all
Yeah,
the sounds that went on
yeah,
around it
right,
on the planet
right.
from
So,
millions
so,
of years.
so it's supposed to take about 100 years, a minimum of 100 years, for oud oil to actually produce.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how old it is. And then you got the prayers that the oil collects the prayers, and then by the time you smelling it, that's why it's smelling so good because all that went into it. But one of the main pieces of oud, I'm happy you mentioned that, is the prayers that is put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's certain oud that is like really, really expensive, and it's been prayed over for
Mm-hmm.
like 10 years straight.
Wow.
And it's like this much oud. And it's really expensive. You just need a dab of it, and man, it smells so good. But it would take 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that is like I'm really into that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also it like when you smell something that's like nostalgic or reminds you of something royal, your mind is automatically going to imagine like something royal or something positive or something that equates with what you're smelling. And that is going to create a whole separate frequency. And that's going to also affect, how positive or, negative your frequency is just by what you're thinking about. So that's why I like surrounding myself or perfumes and ouds and, incense, because whenever I'm smelling certain things, I mean, it's always going to be something good, grand, positive, luxurious. And that's what I'm going to be vibrating. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I smell incense, it's like, okay, well, I remember, when I used to go to this place and I would, find these kind of really good books and I was reading this and it would get you in the mood to start reading or studying something again. Or I remember when I went to this place and it smelled like this oud or this incense and, it made me want to, do this and that. So it's just a memory that forms a whole frequency when you start thinking about something and put you on a whole different frequency, a whole different
Right.
level.
I think most people should turn their home into a sanctuary. The
Hmm.
oud, the right lighting, the right regular sound as frequency, and the right material to like read and stuff like that. And then before you know it, a couple months from now, you're in a mansion
Hmm.
because you everything is on the same vibration.
Right.
Hmm.
Because you keep doing it, and instead of like looking back at the, I was listening to Stevie Wonder songs in the key of life before this video. You keep
Hmm.
looking back at the past time paradise, that could go, like if it's a paradise, it's good. So, you're remembering or you're invoking memories or imaginations of grand things. That's what you're going to start vibrating. And that's what you're going to start attracting. But if it's negative, that's what you're going to start attracting too. That's why I don't like, when people ask me questions about something that they did in the past and how they can do to get over it and why they still stuck there, because you are not moving forward or vibrating in the frequency of the present, or you're not looking to the future. You know, being what you say, an interdimensional time traveler is about not having to be stuck somewhere.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
What is the best MJ album for putting your minds into interdimensional time travel?
Um, I gotta think about that one. Interdimensional time travel.
Yeah.
Um, Now I gotta think about all the albums. Now you got me thinking about all the albums. I'm gonna say Captain EO. Because it's literally about space stuff. Uh that movie Captain EO, watch that. Definitely I would say Thriller, because it's putting you in a position to be able to do that, like symbolically. But definitely some of the stuff like Captain EO, Thriller, I would definitely say those types of songs on those albums. Off the Wall was more like, you know, it was good music and I really like the messages on there, but the intergalactic stuff is, Thriller and someone said Moonwalker, but I say, Captain EO.
What about the bad album? Like, is there any occult secrets that you know about Bad?
Oh yeah. The whole Bad song, the whole lyrics of Bad. It's like literally a threat to the industry. And he said the sky's the limit. And to me, that's really true. But he said you ain't seen nothing. Just wait till he get through, because you can use through in two different ways, like done or through. You know what I'm saying?
I
Intergalactic.
like that. Yeah.
The sky. You say the sky's the limit, and for me, that's really true. Like that's the whole double meaning. Like when you take words and you make things mean more than one thing, that's interdimensional. That's different. Like Lupe Fiasco is really good at that, having triple, double meanings in his lyrics so that they can mean several different things on several different levels. So, yeah,
Hmm.
Bad, that song Bad, Smooth Criminal, Bad, like that has a lot of like triple and double meanings in it. Someone said the Dangerous album.
Mm. I
Remember the Time.
remember the time. I think that Michael Jackson had to be a very good necromancer as well, being
Hmm.
able to travel to and fro the plane that way.
Hmm. Like, well, I think I told you this before, and I said this many times on my channel. On Remember the Town, Remember the Sound, Remember the Sound, Remember the Time album. The song where he says brr, that brr, that was Morse code for 777.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the angel stuff.
Mm-hmm. If you translate Morse
Yeah.
code, you translate brr, brr, that's Morse code for 777.
That's
My daughter
crazy.
figured that out. I didn't, so I can't take the credit. My daughter Sasha figured that out.
That is why. You know, I even like the remember the time, the beginning where like he's being the entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Musicians like they were entertainers, but before they were entertainers, they were very, 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 very highly respected. So just even that whole scene was really deep. But you know, even the magic that he was doing, that's how highly respected and revered musicians were in ancient times. That they were known to be magicians. So I thought that was, and they were definitely known to do things like make snakes appear. Um, they were able to make candles light through their vocal cords, through singing and stuff like that. They were able to light candles through their tones, right? This stuff was like highly secretive, and only royalty was privy to sit in on the magic that musicians were doing, right?
Wow.
And a lot of this comes from India.
What about when Beyonce went to Dubai and she went up on that little thing with all the water around her and she was going, all that kind of stuff in Dubai? What was she doing over there?
That's exactly emulating what these masters were doing a couple thousand years ago. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Did you hear that she got kicked out of the pyramids for singing?
No, I didn't hear that. Is that true?
You can look it up. It's on YouTube or somewhere. But she had gone on her trip to Egypt. She had on her little white outfit, and she had got into the pyramid and she was filming it. It's on, like, she's filmed herself singing in there, and they told her to get out. She can't do that.
Yeah, she gonna call down the wrong spacecraft.
Oh snap. So yeah, they kicked her out of the pyramids for singing.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't know. You got to look it up. I don't know. Maybe you could see more into it. I think she was trying to say, "Who run the world, girl?"
Yeah. But yes, those type of musicians, like the Michael Jacksons, they're very powerful, very dangerous, and they've always been known to change the world. Right?
I think that's what she, of course, is, following in his footsteps, trying to do what she does. And, through all these different magics and occult, teachings and knowledge and symbolisms, I think she's going to be able to do that. And I think she recently got, like Beyonce recently got #1, or I don't know what they said, in the 21st century, like #1 pop artist in the 21st century. So I think she's like proud of, because Michael Jackson was the #1 in the 20th century.
Yeah, so people they don't understand that those are real royal seats of power, right? Because when you have that many people that follow you, worship you, and honor you, you're literally royalty at that point. Not in the same way that you would be royalty 3,000 years ago, but it's still royalty, right?
Yes.
So she would be considered a queen
Mm-hmm.
energetically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why she got the nickname Queen Bee, and like Michael got King of Pop.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all like taking their, titles, their royal titles or whatnot.
Right.
But
And because they're kings and queens and they have these titles, interdimensional beings acknowledge them as that, and they send them codes and messages.
mm-hmm.
Right. So what they put into their music is always going to be relevant. It's always going to be important.
That's why Michael Jackson was like, I stay up and I wait till like, I get messages, or I get, it comes from above, or like he kept saying that all his stuff comes from elsewhere. And he was like, he was adamant about sharing that with people, that he did get influences that were giving him things from the outside. And that was definitely, he wasn't keeping that a secret.
Yeah. So these people are the liaison between what we say the humans and the gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're able to meet on behalf of us to discuss major changes on the planet, right? And they're also able to give the messages that the gods give.
Mm-hmm.
So they have very big titles. That's why it's very important that they are not compromised.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think people be trying to compromise?
Power and control, right? There's a lot of politics that go on in the ethers when it comes to this topic.
And because sound is the most, it can reach the furthest, I would say, right?
Yep.
It can penetrate the deepest. That's why it's used.
Uh, uh, um, all throughout Europe, it was poets and musicians and their songs and poetry and art and stuff like that that actually inspired wars,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also prevented wars. So this thing with music goes deep. It goes real, real deep. It's so super sophisticated.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, what do you think about like classical music or just instrumental music? Like what type of, because like a long time ago, people were like really into the classics and the classical music, and for a while that became like the main, the main type of music, classical. And why taking out the words? Like why people went more for just the instruments versus singing?
Good question. Um, a lot of the classical music that what you're talking about, that came from Indian classical music.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that predated it, and it was Indian classical music. And then they came out with the more modern classical music. The Indian classical music, uh, it came from Sanskrit, but it didn't have words. Well, it did have words, but the words were not like words that we use. It was just sound tones and frequencies. So that's just a copy of that. But
Okay, yes. So that's what I want to get into. So,
yeah,
um, you know how Michael Jackson made beats and tones with his like voice before he put instruments to it? So he would come up with the beat with like his beatboxing, or he would make some weird sound and do everything with his own like, sounds that he created. Um, what do you think about that? Like sounds that we're able to make with our own, like mouth or whatever. Do you think those type of sounds also have a frequency that's unlike other frequencies? Like, because
abs-
in some languages they use those sounds as part of their language.
yeah. So a lot of the original languages or ancient languages had a lot more of those sounds.
Hmm.
Those sounds, I'll give you an example. There's certain sounds that you make that can heal your liver, your kidneys, your lungs. And those sounds we're talking about were incorporated into regular language,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a person was able to live a lot longer and be a lot healthier, and it would take longer for them to age because already embedded in their regular use of language and words was sound medicine. So Michael Jackson's one of the musicians that knew how to use that stuff. Uh, some of the modern classical music had that, and 90 something percent of Indian classical music had all of that.
Okay. So, um, and when you speak different languages, like they have a different frequency. So I think they said, sadly, English was like one of the lowest frequency languages.
Yeah, English is like the worst language, right? Um, Certain languages, right, like Arabic, um, changes the fabric of our reality. This is why in a lot of Arabic countries or places where they speak Arabic, the people that live there can see certain entities like genies,
Mm-hmm.
right, and certain spirits because of the language that's being used. The people are more able to pierce certain dimensions
Oh,
because of the sound chords.
okay. So what are Americans saying?
Um,
Speak
it's
English across the globe saying.
English is just a very low vibrational language. The only thing that would have some type of power in English would be Latin, right?
Mhm.
Like if we spoke Latin, we'll see a lot more entities, especially things like angels and stuff. But English is just that low that we can barely see anything.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I'm
started
saying?
in the summer.
Right. But you know, there's certain countries where 90% of the population is seeing these other entities so regularly because that language is vibrating that high and it's piercing the dimension just that much.
Wow. What if you spoke English in a different accent? Does that help?
Um
Foreign accent.
I,
Nice.
I that's a good question. I think uh damn, I don't know. I don't know.
It can't hurt.
Yeah, yeah, I mean it can't hurt, but English is just that terrible.
I don't think it can hurt. Okay. Hold on, let me put our names up on here because people are asking. So yeah, it don't hurt. What about if you sang instead of just spoke English? What if you sang English in a different tone or a different note? Is that better?
I mean, this is why they say that in church that a song is worth two prayers.
Okay.
Singing is always better, right? This is why I said that in ancient Egypt, the the spoken language, the entire spoken language was sang. So we wouldn't be speaking right now. We'd be singing to each other right now, having a conversation. So singing is always more powerful because you're being precise with the tones.
That would be an interesting world to live in when everybody sung to each other. It'd be like a giant musical.
It That's how it was. That's how it was. And also in ancient Sumeria, they a lot some of the language, the Akkadian language, was sang back and forth as well.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And you know, one of the first persons to make like literal video movies or universes within a song was Michael Jackson. So he would create a whole world or a whole movie with the video, and he would sing, I guess, the entire thing, most of it, and create a whole other like world there. So literally just through the song, he created, you know, a whole world, literally, or went back in time, or took you on a, you know, a crazy adventure or something like that. But it was the sound that started it, and
Right.
then everything evolved from there.
Exactly. And I believe that that concept came from uh, things that we were into in ancient times,
Hmm.
and also some of that is going on right now simultaneously in other dimensions.
Hmm. And if you believe or if you understand like multiverses,
Yeah.
like, okay, you know the Michael Jackson video game. And I don't know if it was his video game. It was one of his. It was a set of his DVDs. I don't know if you ever if you bought it, but it was like when he first like put out these DVDs for all his like songs. It was right after he quote unquote died. But when you put it in, it like takes you into like this universe, like this galaxy, and like it would make all these like intergalactic sounds. And when you like click on one of them, it would be like like you were going back in time or going into another dimension. It was like really interesting, like how they set that up with the DVDs and things like that. So and like just every little minute detail of everything that you know he did and stuff like that was always about the occult or about some type of time travel or intergalactic kind of stuff. So I thought that was interesting because you're taking the audience with you, like wherever you're going, or what you know, whatever you're creating, they're becoming a part of that world too.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Somebody sent a thing that says your mom yells in Arabic and it makes her have a headache. Okay, she's just mad at you, girl. Put that laundry up. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't
so,
really get headaches from people
so
speaking to me.
you know, a lot of the gurus,
Hmm.
right? You if you went into a temple and trained with a guru, you would sit with them and they would chant. And when they would chant, you would go into trance and they would take you to wherever they wanted to take you, right? And
Like, oh,
this is right. So this, you know, same thing Michael Jackson was doing, taking you into these dimensions with the sound. This is why we haven't developed any spaceships here because we don't really need it. We could just use sound to travel together to go to places that are so very far out. And we'll travel to those places like that because sound will just take us and we can go to these places together.
right. Um, okay, so Lil Angel says that what does it mean if entities communicate with you in a language that isn't your native language, but you understand fluently and clearly?
It means that it's somewhere in your DNA that you spoke and still speak this language. You just don't fully remember, but that's something to take note of. I know a lot of people that have that experience. Yep.
Hmm. Or you could just be, you know, telepathically communicating.
You can
Like,
also download languages.
like
Some
they
of
have,
our spirits can just download languages like that.
yeah, that's true. And now they even have the technology that you put this little earpiece in your ear and it can automatically, you know, translate whatever language somebody is speaking to you, and it'll just translate it right in your ear. So,
Hmm.
you know, they're using technology to also be able to do those things as well. So if you don't want to hear people speaking English, all you got to do is get you one of them little earpieces and switch it to another language, whatever language they gonna, you know, translate it to. But um, I was gonna say like when Michael Jackson did all those videos and stuff, he knew what he was doing, and a lot of other people knew what he was doing, and that's why they were mad at him.
Yep.
Like about the sound frequencies, the occult, the taking over, the rebellion, the exposing of certain things, and da 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 da. And they didn't like it because they couldn't control it.
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So if you can't control something, like a lot of people don't know where they're going to take it next, so they live in constant fear.
Right.
What do you think about people that live in constant fear because they don't know where quote unquote occultists or musicians are going to take it to the next level? When they start, that's when they start to mess with them, when they get too powerful and they don't then they live in fear of the influence over the masses, because musicians definitely have more influence over any politician,
Yeah.
any
So the
president, any king. That's why they are the kings and the queens.
right. So I feel like you never want to be on the sidelines. You want to be part of the change, right? You want to you want to be part of the game. So if you don't like how the frequency is, change it. But being in fear and hating is not going to do anything, right? We're
Mhm,
all playing. It's always going to be an ebb and flow, right? There's always going to be order and chaos, peace and conflict, right? So those of us that are in the know of how frequencies work, it's we're to try to change the frequency into where we want to change it to, and team up with those that are like-minded that want to get the frequency to where we want to put it. But to sit back and critique it and being fair is just wasting time,
mhm.
right? Because there's always something we're not musicians, right? Like I could just be playing my singing bowl in the hood. You know what I'm saying? But I'm always against just sitting on the sidelines.
Mhm. And why do people want to control? Well, I know why, but why do you think people want to control what some of these artists are doing because they have so much influence? Like, y'all know, like some artists don't say a word until they get paid. Some artists don't endorse anything until that money is in the account. So a lot of the time, like, people are using their money to ask a lot of different people, to promote them or to influence the masses in a certain direction, with, sending them money. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's smart, right? Because the musician, especially these world class musicians that we're talking about, like they're the most powerful people on the planet. You get their favor, you're going to sway the masses, like you said, higher than politicians,
Hmm.
right? Um, and to be honest, um, there's no type of person that is more influential, right? So I think it's smart. It's smart.
And these days, like, a lot of the musicians aren't making money because people don't have to buy albums. They can just steal or stream or, you know, record sound, for free when they listen to a video, and they don't have to stream it constantly. So they're not getting paid for their music anymore. So they have to, go in different directions and take on new ways of earning money or make new streams of making money. So now we're living in an era where, the musical artists are now being paid to influence people in a certain direction because they can't make money on their music anymore. What do you think about that?
Um, it's always been a thing when a particular type of person, category of person becomes too powerful, the establishments or the governments of the world try to figure out how to cap that level of power. So that's that.
Hmm.
That's always been a thing, though. That's always been a thing.
Hmm. That's true. And if you make money in your own way, like through different streams, that gives the artist the freedom to sing what they want and not need the outside influence. That's why a lot of these artists are starting their own perfumes, clothing, their own brands, because that's how they're going to fund the true passion, which is their music, if they even choose to do music. Like Rihanna, she did her music, and now she's a billionaire because of her Fenty, and she doesn't even have to do music anymore if she doesn't want to. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of the artists have to go into different streams of income because, like I said, people don't pay for music anymore, or you have to go on tour for like a whole year, to get what you should get as a musician. And some people don't want to do that. And so I feel like Rihanna, because she's a Pisces, she's gonna make money in the fastest, easiest, laziest way. She's just gonna get out there and promote some lingerie and some makeup and call it a day, and let her royalties stack up from her music she already made until she's ready to go back out there and do what she loves without having to worry about if she's gonna get paid or not.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of world politics in this music thing, right? And it will always be, because this is where the power is. So the smart artists are now, like you said, they're dealing with them different streams. But if you notice, they're backing out of the music industry because they don't want to deal with all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be almost like AI is gonna have to start making music, because it is. They're gonna just have to listen to AI music, and sell concert tickets for real artists, and those concert tickets are gonna go way up. It's going to be like in the presence of royalty, literally, because the concert tickets are going to be super high because you get their real vibration or frequency over the microphone through the speakers, and that gets pushed into you. So if you're in the same room as Beyonce and Rihanna or whatever, or whoever, and you're feeling them speakers vibrate their voice into your body, that's wealth, that's money, that's power,
That's an example of things coming back full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how a lot of this started out, right? Where you could not go to a concert unless you were royalty, and you couldn't afford, and it'd be a very, very private concert. There was not a coliseum of people watching these artists perform. You know what I'm saying? So it's going back to that. Things coming back full circle.
Right. That's why the concert tickets are so high now. Oh, well. So, I think that's a good thing, though, because it's not good for everybody, but it's a good thing for the artist. And, if people are going to continue to make music and be passionate about it and make what they like, they do need to get paid for it. And just because whatever industry is trying to put a cap on it, or, take down their power or their influence, is literally going to work in reverse, because the tickets and the money that it costs and the amount of work that goes into the production of some of these concerts are literally going to be like a status symbol if you're able to attend.
I'm attending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I went to the on the Run Part 2 tour with Beyonce and Jay-Z like twice, 2 days in a row. I took my kids and my nephew, and then I took, and then I went with somebody else, a friend, and then so I went 2 nights in a row to get that. I paid for literally 7 tickets.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was worth it. They had it was awesome because the amount of money that went into the production, it wasn't just somebody on the stage rapping or singing. It was a whole production. They had fire, elevators, they had everything. It was like on the Michael Jackson level of like theatrics and like effects.
Maybe that should be added to the list of things to do to keep the frequency the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually paying enough to go to a real good concert from a good musician, right? That should be added up there with the singing bowls and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that can be added onto self-care. It can be added onto wealth manifestation, as far as like creativity, because when you come back from a concert like that, your creativity is going to be through the roof and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never went to a Michael Jackson concert, but I've been to a Prince concert, Beyonce concert. I think I went to Maxwell. Um, I went to a couple of other concerts. I'm not gonna really name a bunch of people, but yeah, like okay, so y'all remember Maxwell from back in the, he had James Brown band that used to play the funk. I don't know whatever his band was called, Maceo and them.
Okay.
He had that band playing live instruments at his concert. There was nothing like synthesized or, everything was live instruments at his concert. And, his voice is very good live. Like he doesn't need no auto tune or nothing. So that was interesting. Like that was really good.
Mm.
So yeah, I think if you could get to a concert where all the instruments and the person is singing with like no extra stuff, that's even more powerful too.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to read some of these questions. Underground conscious live music is so magical. Yaya Goddess says. Yeah, like if you listen to some music like conscious artists or whatever and their messages and stuff like that, they don't get like mainstream exposure. A lot of that stuff can stimulate you, mentally and spiritually, but they're not going to play it on the main, it's not going to be circulating in the main stuff. So definitely if you have an artist that you like, listen to it. But like I think one of the main like things that they don't want that getting out, because I think little knowledge is dangerous.
Yep.
Because you see like some people listen to a conscious album and then all of a sudden they're expert on every everything. But I think it's good if it makes you do the research. But if you don't go do no research, little knowledge is dangerous.
I agree. That's why I'm not saying nothing. I fully agree.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see. So who's your favorite artist of all time?
You know it's Michael Jackson, right? We had this discussion a couple years ago. My sister asked me that a week ago, and I told her.
Still,
One thing I love about Michael Jackson, even the children of today love Michael Jackson. Once they're introduced to Michael Jackson, that's their favorite. So, yeah, Michael Jackson, hands down, that's it. Hey, I had an experience with Michael Jackson. You know where he performed bad? It's a train station in New York called Hoyt Skimmerhorn. And one day I was listening to Bad. I listened to it like 4 times, and I was on the train, and I was at the stop, and it was his birthday. It was so random. So I thought that was deep.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff happens like when you're just in that frequency. Like if you listen to Michael Jackson for a long time, back to back, just all day, every day, and your whole world's gonna start doing some weird stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I used to listen to Michael Jackson before I did martial arts tournaments. That was like my mental meditation. So yeah, it's Michael Jackson, my favorite.
Yep. And also like I also think like if you listen to other artists that like if their message is like on point, if they have like some good like information and they're an occultist too, like if you listen to their music over and over, you're gonna like, I don't know if this is true for you, but you're gonna start to see them synchronicities in your world. What you're listening to, that you're gonna start to see the synchronicities in your world.
Because there's something called light codes. Right? You know, we also get this through the things that we read, right? But music even more directly, because when you listen to music, right, them sound waves penetrate all 8 billion cells. So some people actually start looking like the artist that they listened to, right? Some people encounter the same legal issues. Some people start making like may have similar money woes or fortunes or whatever, right? So who you listen to is important because it's going to influence your world in some fashion or form.
That's why I listen to the Isley Brothers, because Ron Isley, he's 80-something years old and he still look young. He got paid. He's rich. Music still on point.
This is why I listen to a lot of Jay-Z.
Yeah, I listen to him too. I had the CD in my car today. I'm already home. That's my song right there. I was listening to that today. I'm already home. I think that was the Blueprint 3 album.
Oh yeah, that's a favorite right there.
Oh, okay. On to the next one. That video.
Yeah. That's the #1 occult video of the century.
Yeah.
That is a very occult video. That's my favorite. That's my favorite video. Yeah.
Yes. It has the same stuff like the cat, the jaguar, the sound frequency.
Oh man, the white and black, the Baphomet. Oh man.
The clown, the trickster energy.
Yeah, that was a serious video.
That's why I liked it. I was like, on to the next one. Period. Like, and then the other song on that album, like I was telling you, I'm already home. He like, y'all can't do nothing for me. Y'all want me to get out the way. Y'all say y'all can't become, top rapper or #1 rapper because I'm in the way, but I'm already home. You ain't got nothing for me. Like, you're not even in the same tax bracket. Don't talk to the same women. Nothing. Like, that whole album right there is like very powerful and like very occult, very full of occult information. One of my favorite Jay-Z albums. So I listen to that. I listen to Isley. I listen to, like, of course, Michael Jackson, Prince, Beyonce, like whoever I'm in the mood for. Lupe Fiasco, of course.
Yeah, I like Lupe Fiasco.
Like, he's like a lyrical genius. Like,
see, now that's conscious music that I will co-sign.
Yeah. Now listen to Lupe Fiasco. I think my frequency rises and like just my brain starts computing stuff that I never thought about in the first place, and I'm like, this dude is smart. No wonder he's like a professor at MIT now. He teaches like on like hip hop and stuff. You could take his course, literally.
So do you play your singing bowl?
Yeah, I played it the other day. Like I was trying to explain sound and how you can levitate objects to my daughter, and she didn't understand because I showed her a video, and like, so I took out my singing bowl and I went bam, and I said, "You feel that?" And she said, and I said, "Well, the reason why you feel it is because that sound is affecting the liquids and the cells and the particles in your body and making them vibrate on another frequency. If that liquid was not held, or your blood was not held into your body with your veins, it would be floating at some point if the frequency was a little bit higher. So, or making different waves. So I used it to teach my daughter something, but I did play it.
I love the singing bowl. It's considered it is a real musical instrument, and especially the Tibetan singing bowls. The technology that singing bowls have as far as like sound frequency is bananas.
Yeah, let me go get mine right here. Hold on, I have one of them, a small one. I'm just gonna show people if they don't know what it is. Because some people, they may not understand. Like, I need to clean that off, but this is one of them. It comes with like, this is like a brass, and I have a crystal one downstairs, a big one, like a big giant crystal one.
Yeah.
This is a thingy bowl, right? And it comes with a little wooden thing. So, sometimes I give you a little pillow with it.
The crystal ones are so good too. They're so loud.
That's the one I
like. They can fill like the whole house up with sound.
Oh yeah, when I play it, you can hear it outside too. Like, you can hear it like 2 houses away if
Yep.
you play it. Like
Yeah.
boom, boom, and the windows will start shaking too. So be careful.
Yep. And if you have a small child and you want to put them to sleep, 15 minutes on a singing bowl and they'll be selling.
Mhm.
Yep.
You said buying one tonight. I sell those on my occult shop, Dark Realm online occult shop. You can get your singing bowls there. I have small ones, crystal ones, brass, all types. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
You know I make meditation music.
Oh yeah.
It's on my Patreon. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
what's Patreon? What's the name of your Patreon?
Patreon.com/darklordism.
Dark Lordism. Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
So why you name yourself the Dark Lord?
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
Um
You know, some people just, they want to know.
well, there's a book by my favorite occultist. His name was Peter Lavender, and
Hmm.
he wrote a book called The Dark Lord, and it's my favorite book because it kind of breaks down the path of an occultist,
Hmm.
and it also breaks down like the path of the antagonist or the rebel, and you kind of need. eh, We are all here today because of rebellion, right? Because there was some sort of change to the current society, right? And so he breaks that down in the book, and then the Dark Lord and in early occultism was like the high ranking occultist of the time or the era. You know what I'm saying? So very high ranking occultists like maybe like Aleister Crowley would be considered a Dark Lord, or the person before him. Like there's always that high ranking occultist that has the power of rebellion to the current society, right? Because the occultist is going to challenge the society, and we understand that that's a good thing because change is the only thing of the only constant thing in the universe. So every structure that we think in now, it eventually has to be broken for us to continue to evolve. So that's where that came from.
Okay. Well, that's a good explanation for it because, like, some people might not have known that or thought it was from something else. But
They probably thought I was evil or something.
exactly. Right. Sometimes things have deeper meanings.
Right. Right.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah. And also, like, when you are inspired by, a book or something like that, and you like take a name, that's an honor because like you're putting yourself on that path and you're taking on that responsibility as well.
Right. Exactly.
So like a lot of people ask me about my names. My names, because I got too many. But it's the same thing. You put yourself in that position when you give yourself those names. Because like we can't, our mothers give us our, our birth names, but we can give ourselves our other names. And we can do, what we want to do and go on different paths that we want to go on and take on those missions if that's what we want to do.
Do you feel like the names that you take, or especially like if it's a goddess name, that do you feel like you take on the archetype of the energy? Do you
I
like
start to
feel
take on
it?
the mission of the energy.
Okay.
Because the archetype, like you have to be attracted to that archetype in the first place because you're similar. So
Mm,
maybe you are already the archetype, and
I,
then you take on the mission of the archetype.
I
I think
like that. That makes sense.
because like if like you say, people are like sending like information or downloads. If you resonate with something already, like just like an actress, if someone
Hmm.
fits the character or the role of a character, that's who they're going to choose. They're not going to go find something completely opposite and try to mold that person into something that they're just not naturally, you know? So, yeah.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. That, I think that's where people have to, if they really want to represent a certain archetype, that they literally change themselves first, which is the great work in alchemy. And then they're able to represent a certain, you know, archetype if they weren't able to represent it in the beginning. This
The great work. Aleister Crowley spoke about the great work.
Mm-hmm. It's just an alchemical term of becoming your more self-aware and who you are and what you're capable of and what you want to be doing, I guess. Want to be starting something. You said, okay, so what do you say about, like, what's the best occult book you've ever read besides that book? Like the second best, in your opinion?
The Arabian Nights.
Uh-huh. I gotta read that one.
Oh
I'm
man.
putting it on my list right now. I think I wrote it down last time and just forgot. I'm gonna order it right now. So.
It was the premier entertainment system of the Middle East.
Okay.
So the 1001 Arabian Nights.
My daughter had to sing that song in a play. Aladdin.
Hey, I like that song. I know the words.
Arabian Nights. She had to sing it. I'm like, go ahead, Sasha.
You know, they got stories of Oud in the Arabian Nights. Oud and genies and all sorts of occult stuff.
I'm ordering it right now.
It's an entertainment system that was actually an occult manual that inspired
Is this it?
yeah, that blue one right there, that's it. That
Okay.
by by Richard, let me
Burton Richards.
this one right here. Yeah, Richard Burton.
Dang. Okay, I'm gonna get it. I'm about to order it.
Yeah, we can read it together, gang gang.
All right, because I need something new to read because I'm almost done with my other book. Sprinkle, sprinkle. So when you say it's an occult book, because it looks like a story book, but it's just hidden occult knowledge in the story. Kind of like Alchemist.
Yes.
But the Arabian Nights.
Yes. You'll be able to see all the occult stuff right away.
Okay. Is it an easy read? Like, is it a modern language, or is it
that version is an easy read?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you started reading it yet, too?
Yeah. Well, I actually took my students through it as a ritual, and I was breaking down the secrets to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enough for me. I'm getting it. Who else has read that? I'm trying to see in the comments. Anyway. Is there any, like, you've already, I don't know, is there anything in there that we should be like, or I should be looking out for? Like, what stands out to you in that book? I don't want to get no spoilers, but you can just like be vague. But what stands out to you?
There's so many interactions with genies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a lot of secrets to the existence of genies and how to interact with them, how to, with prayers and how they get offended and things like that. You also have a lot of the Middle Eastern standard for moral character when it came to like being faithful and things like that. You just got so much in there, right? Things about sultans and wealth and other dimensions, right? So the Arabian Nights, if you read it right and if your third eye is open, there is this thing where it can transport you into a dimension we call the imaginary realm or imaginary world, where you read something and you transport there. And the Arabian Nights was one of the books that was known to do that. So what's that movie? The Never Ending Story?
Hmm.
That came from books like the Arabian Nights, right?
Okay. Like
Mhm.
reading something and getting sucked into it.
Sucked in, and then something happens at home, and then you go to sleep, and there's a continuation. Some of the books like the Arabian Nights were designed for supernatural activities.
Okay. And
Mhm.
what do you think those supernatural activities are? Like to be in communication with certain types of beings?
Yeah, because you had secret societies of like magicians and occultists that had manuals for how to interact into certain dimensions. So books like this was like the training material for that. Stuff like that. Also the Necronomicon, stuff like that. But what we're talking about is a very advanced technique, but
Right.
it's very, very real. Right. The Arabian Nights also was at one point considered more popular than the Bible. Right. So it's a very serious, very well known book in the Middle East.
Okay. And so okay, what is the one thing you can say about, like, have you ever worked, I know you have, but you work with genies or the jinn?
That's how I charge my oud.
Okay. So, because people were asking. So
Yeah.
if you ever work with the jinn or is that like, let me just ask a question. Do you think it's offensive to keep like a genie lamp or a genie bottle? Is that culturally offensive, or is it offensive against, like, because it's the symbol of, like, is it their home, or is it just associated with light, or like the pineal gland because
That's
it's a
a
lamp, or it's
that's a gr-
oil?
that's a great question, right? There are some sorcerers that in old ancient times they imprisoned jinn into certain containers. It wasn't necessarily a genie lamp. Um, and then also in certain secret societies where they work with jinn, the jinn are kind of more willing to go into a container so that it can be used. But there's a good relationship. It's like having a pet. You know what I'm saying? But you did have more dark practitioners that were enslaving these things. The same way people hold certain pets into captivity that they shouldn't.
Right. So what do you think about, like, because okay, I'm just gonna be it might sound funny, but I was scrolling on Temu, and they have these genie lamps or these genie bottles, like on I Dream of Genie, and they also have like the genie lamps, like the little oil lamps too,
Okay.
and they had different colors. And so, if you work with color magic, like you do, if you work with color magic and you work with the jinn and you work with these, like, bottles to contain them, or these lamps. um oh, you disappeared. I think he had to plug up his phone. But anyway, I'm gonna continue the question. He'll be back. So here he comes.
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
No, it's okay. I do it all the time on the channel. So, like, what I was saying is, if you work with color magic, with these bottles or these lamps or these containers in certain gin, I don't know if they have an associated color with them or a sound or a tone or whatever, but like, um, could you like, is there a way to invite them to become like part of your energy or your frequency, or is it a separate entity? Like, can you become merged with the jinn, or are you just working with them as a individual?
Depends on your DNA.
Okay.
Some of us have jinn in us, so that's possible if we have that in us. But if it's too far removed from our DNA, it's not really that possible.
Mm-hmm.
And also, unless you really know what you're doing, it could be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I would compare it to like working with a snake, right? Or in some cases, a venomous snake.
Mm-hmm.
And if you never handled a snake, and you don't know like their nature, then it's just very, very, very dangerous. Very similar.
Okay.
Because jinn are, of course, they're powerful, but like they are like humans. They have emotions. They can get offended and things like that. So it's not just it's not an easy energy to work with.
Okay. So why do people want to work with them then?
Because they are very good at bestowing things like wealth, right, or attraction, magic. Like I said, a lot of my oud is charged with genies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's very enticing to work with.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you think there are some people? Well, I don't know. I guess we could ask. Like, do you think MJ worked with the jinn?
Good question. I think that I feel like he was part jinn himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't even think he needed to work with jinn. I think he was like a jinn.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I think like I agree with you on that is because like, of course, like one of his main things was like, you know how the jinn is like supposed to be made out of smokeless fire, which is the plasma, basically. And he always used sparkles. You know, lightning is made out of plasma. The sun is made out of plasma. It's like the fourth, you know, state of matter, and it's like electricity and smokeless fire, electricity. And so, you know, he was really into that, you know, light, energy, frequency, sparkles, fire, you know, all this kind of stuff. So I think he, like being the magician that he was, he probably definitely had some of that, as you call DNA from the jinn in there, because you could just tell.
Agreed. I fully agree. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize like your DNA is more than just human.
Yeah.
It's multi-dimensional and well, universal.
Yeah, that's all of us. All of us have some intergalactic DNA somewhere.
Hmm. If you look at the DNA strands, it's a 5D continuously like, and when they call stuff junk DNA, that's not junk DNA. That's the stuff that they can't explain yet. That's the multi-dimension. That's the otherworldly creatures. That's the interdimensional creatures that they can't put as, you know, human DNA.
That's the important stuff. The stuff that can't be that haven't been decoded yet.
Hmm.
Yep.
And when, like, do you think they have decoded it, but ain't gonna say nothing, so
I've
people don't realize their true potential?
I've seen some things from I think the genealogist or something like that. And uh I think it was about two or three of them who said that they couldn't speak about certain things because they would lose their job.
Hmm.
And seeing things like that, yes, I agree that they know. Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff people know, but they won't tell the masses. And I think when the masses start figuring it out, that's when they start allowing people to say stuff, more stuff, and it just becomes like common knowledge. Because I was just talking about this today. Like in the old days, people didn't talk about manifesting. People didn't talk about positive thinking. That stuff was for like certain types of people in different, you know, higher classes. You know, people couldn't read back in the old days, and they were just told what to do and what to think. Meanwhile, you have like, the upper class people learning about manifestation, occult information, and all that kind of stuff, and they kept it in books, and that's why they let, you know, those secrets out when everybody started to learn how to read. The secrets were able to be read, so that got out. Now they have scientific secrets, supernatural secrets, and when people start to experience those things, because they start vibrating on a higher frequency, then they let that out, because when the masses are ready, they're gonna find a teacher.
Even the talk of like aliens, like who ever thought that we would be in a time where they would have UFO disclosures at the Pentagon like every other month now?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's some of that is surreal to me. I didn't even think we would see that, but
I know.
yeah.
Okay, someone is asking, what is so special about MJ and Beyonce's bloodline that grants them their gifts?
They've been doing this for a long time. That means they four parents been in a seat of royalty for a long time. So they was born into this. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Even like if you are born into something and maybe the knowledge of being born into something is not passed down, but it's still there. Just because somebody forgot don't mean it's not there. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people have families and maybe the information gets lost of where they come from, but it's still there regardless of not being able to hear it from your parent. Because like,
Right, so
yeah.
because it's energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're walking what do you call that? Flash drives. Right? And we all have information, right? And whatever information that is that we have right now, it's the same information from 50,000 years ago.
Right, because water
Because water.
and sound.
Yeah, so I don't even have to remember if I was doing whatever 50,000 years ago and that information hasn't been lost, I don't have to remember to repeat what I was 50,000 years ago because it hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
It just transferred over into this lifetime.
Right, because like if you really think about it, every drop of water on this planet has been recycled. It's been through everybody's body, everybody's system, the earth system, animals' bodies. It's collected what it's collected, and our DNA, our blood, and all that kind of stuff is connected to all of that stuff. And of course, water came from ice in space and so on and so forth. So water is literally being recycled over and over and over throughout the planet, throughout people's bodies, throughout the atmosphere, and it holds memory. And when
Right.
and when your DNA and your cells are activated by that memory from sound or by this, like, fourth state of matter, which is definitely, um, plasma. That's why it creates life. And you got that memory and you got that information. And then if you have a certain bloodline that continuously, practices certain things, teaches certain things, you're going to have that cellular memory too.
Exactly.
So it's like, a lot of people practice folk magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in there. And that came from their ancestors, which came from their ancestors, which came from their ancestors. And it all originated somewhere, like you said, in ancient times.
Right.
Okay. I'm trying to read some of these questions. Some people say they don't want to come back after they die. I'm coming back, and I'm coming back over and over.
I ain't coming back, man.
Huh?
I ain't coming back.
You're not coming back?
Nah. I'm gonna figure this out.
I already figured it out. That's why I'm coming back. See you next Wednesday. So I think, you know what? That's funny because like I say I'm not coming back. Then I realized, yes, I am. The reason why. So, because you got options. You can come back, you can go, you can come back and you can go. Intergalactic, interdimensional. You can do what you want.
Hmm.
Okay. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Somebody said Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. Okay. You have anything to add? Because I don't, I don't want to keep hogging the conversation. You got anything to add or want to tell people or, you know, anything?
Sound. I think I want to add one more thing about sound. The fact that it has no go between
Mm-hmm.
is like everything that we can consume, we can consume too much of it, right? We can have too much of this herb, too much of this fruit. You can actually have too much water, but you cannot have too much good sound because there's no digestion. So I love that about sound because the only thing that's like that, right, as far as sound being used as medicine and healing and things like that, but also it can't be exploited and put into a bottle and sold. So these frequencies can't be put into a bottle where you could water it down and things like that. I love that about sound, you know. And I think the basis of what I'm into is sound. So like even, like the money mantras and charging ooh, what I'm saying? I have a great deal of respect for sound. It's a spiritual discipline. That's how I see sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sound is it's everything. So
Mm-hmm.
speaking about Michael Jackson, like this is it's a deep occult conversation. Yeah.
I think a whole class could literally be taught just about him and his occult knowledge and how he applied it. Like, if somebody would teach that class, I would definitely take it. Or uh, or me
Yeah,
teach.
we could get Michael Jackson on the altar. Yeah, why don't you teach Michael Jackson?
I already did. I did that 10 years ago on my
Oh
other
wow.
three. I have a whole nother channel before I knew you.
Mm, yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I already did that. Like that was my first intro to YouTube.
Hmm.
So, but I didn't teach like I'm teaching now. It was like through slides, through pictures, through diagrams, through like words on the screen. You didn't see me. You might have heard my voice, like
Mm,
explaining what was on the screen, but I did not make my debut until later on camera. But I did
mm.
that for like 4 years before I ever appeared on camera on a whole nother channel.
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
I already did that, broke it down, decoded it, everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like some people don't feel like, I think some people feel like it was disrespectful to a lot of people, or some people were very enlightened and opened up their mind because of the decoding and stuff like that. So
Mm,
it was good, and it helped a lot of people realize, a lot of stuff that they never saw before because it took their favorite artist to show them and open their eyes. Because if you really like somebody, or you like their music, you're going to be more sympathetic towards whatever it is that they're trying to show you versus ignoring it, or versus like just calling it or judging it.
okay. Hey, did you ever break down that video where he was like, he turned into the Panther and he was just breaking stuff and throwing up the signs and stuff? One of
But
the things I thought was crazy about that video is he was throwing up these Indian mudras, and I was like, how did he, where he got that from? Because the signs he was throwing up was some like serious secrets. And then he started throwing up Masonic secrets. So crazy video.
I know a little bit behind why he was doing that, but like in one of his 1980 something interviews, I know he had been to East India a lot, because he was talking about the people there and all this kind of stuff and how they were beautiful. And then, like, of course, he had, you know, the Indian lady in the black or white video, you know, they print my message in the Saturday sun, and he was dancing with her out in the street. I had to tell him I ain't second to none. And, you know, so when he was dancing with her there, you know, he might have learned it from, you know, learning how to dance with different cultures, because that's what the whole video was about. He was learning, he went, and that's exactly what Beyonce did. She went and did the same thing and went to different countries and learned how to dance in their culture. But that's what he was doing. He went to different cultures and learned how to dance. And so he knew all the signs and the different secrets of different, you know, cultures and countries. And of course, you know, his Masonic symbol. So he learned globally. And I think that video was literally him taking over the globe.
That was a serious video.
Of course. So
yeah,
he said, I'll take the world.
Yeah, I watched that video so many times. That video just catches you in a trance. Yeah.
Yep. And the funny thing is, like, how they premiered it on regular TV after The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had a bunch of people watching it all at the exact same time. That's magic right there.
That's magic right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you had, like, the controversy that surrounded it afterwards.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And he tricked them because, like, okay, he's Michael Jackson. He's so clean cut. He wouldn't, you know, it's just going to be like, you know, all the other stuff. And then he came out doing all this crazy stuff. And people were like, oh my goodness. So, you know, he got people talking. He was rebelling. He was doing what he was doing. And so I think that actual moment right there changed TV history, where they would not put out anything live or like that without, you know, censoring it at a certain point.
And then he outsmarted the music industry and Sony and bragged about it.
Mm-hmm. Then his sister Janet went and did the same thing with the Super Bowl, changed how things were recorded live. They had to have a 6-second, you know, because you had the wardrobe malfunction.
Remember the Beyonce Super Bowl where the lights cut off?
Yeah.
I think the Super Bowl performances are like some serious sorcery.
Oh yeah, it's like you got to get up out of that. Like, not in a bad way, but it's like a bowl. It's like you're underground, literally, because it's Super Bowl, and you got to figure out how to get up out of there. And that's the challenge as a musician. Like, that's your occult challenge of your Super Bowl performance. You have to create a way to get out of the bowl and back up to the surface and beyond. So if you ever notice on those Super Bowl performances, they always try to elevate themselves higher in some form or fashion because it's a bowl. So MJ had all them fake MJs pop up higher than him, and then he pops up on the stage. So the last Super Bowl, I don't know who performed. Was it Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre? I don't know if that was the last one.
I don't remember.
It was Usher. Usher had the Phoenix pin. So, you know, rise from the ashes. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg had the bird's eye view of the map of California. Okay, and like Beyonce, she started off at the bottom with her black leather outfit on. This is not her first Super Bowl, but the one with Bruno Mars. Then she walked up the stairs onto the stage, and then she had Bruno Mars, and they was all dancing. And then what's that name? Chris Martin came out, So that had to do a lot with the chakras, the planets, and all that kind of stuff. And then, well, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, Jay-Z directed it. Then
Which
Rihanna came out from above. She floated down. She was the goddess. So she floated down from above and then went right back up. She didn't even touch the ground.
so with witchcraft in the Super Bowl, how much is this even about the game?
It's not. They already know who's going to win before they even start to play.
Right.
Because of it's like a whole ritual. And I remember a person saying that she already knew who was going to win each and every game because of what was going on at the time, the mascots and the symbol and the current state of whatever was going on in the world. People need to visualize and see a certain symbol have victory over another symbol. And so that's how the games are determined. It has nothing to do with chance anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an occultist that said that.
Mm-hmm.
She said her boyfriends would get mad every time she told them who was going to win because she used occult science to determine it. And they couldn't watch the game in peace with her anymore because she would tell them who was going to win before they even started the game. Just by the symbols and the teams that were playing and the city that they were playing in and the dates. She said, okay, well, this is. She connected all the dots and said, this is who's supposed to win. Do you think that's true?
I believe it.
You said it's all about the numbers. Mm-hmm.
The numbers have a big deal. All of that. The headlines. Like if you pay attention, like some of the players that are in certain controversy or politics, like all that plays into who's going to win.
Mm-hmm. And people are asking like people are saying, well, why are they doing Kendrick Lamar in New Orleans for the Super Bowl this year? And why is he dissing Drake? And that's a whole occult thing right there. Like we're not, it has nothing to do with real beef. It's occult information that the shift of the influence needs to be created.
Yeah.
So you break down someone's name, the city that they're supposed to perform in, you break down the name of that city and you're going to have your answers.
Yeah, it's like a science in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so accurate. It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so accurate.
And we're all just entertainers. You know, that lyric from the Jay-Z Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing a role. It's nothing personal.
Right.
Their names, their position is their role. That's who that's their character, and they have to play the position. So if you're gonna name yourself Drake, you got to play that position. If your name is Kendrick Lamar, you got to play that position. You know, if you represent fire and one represents water, because of the names, you got to play that position. You got to create something different, and you got to go to New Orleans or the Super Bowl. Like New Orleans means new gold. What's the gold? The chakra of what? The soul, the sun. Da, da, da. Like it's just all. Lamar means but the water, the sea, the ocean. And he was in it's all magic.
Speaking of water, there was a tsunami today.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. I don't watch the news.
Earthquake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where?
California.
What?
Yep.
How did I miss that? Well, thanks for telling me because I don't watch the news. Wow. I'm not laughing at it, but it's just weird because you would never expect that. Like you would expect the earthquake, but like a tsunami.
Yep.
Wow. What part of California was like the whole part?
I don't know.
Was it major?
I believe so.
Nah, I
I
feel
believe
bad. That
it
need to
hit
be
the.
too-
It hit the. It was on the news. It was pretty big.
Mm. It said it was a 7.0. Somebody in the okay.
There's
Well,
some sorcery at play.
yeah, because you can create. Never mind. You can create a lot of stuff with sound frequencies. That's all I'm gonna say. You can create a lot of stuff with sound energy, like if you want to.
Yeah.
They have the technology to do that. I don't know. Anyway, the last time I started spilling too much tea, people started getting upset. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Like if y'all watch my old videos from back in the old days, I would just go too far and just say too much. People were like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna do that no more. Y'all go do your own research. I ain't the one." He said, "I'm not the one." So anyway, so what do you think about the Super Bowls? Because I didn't let you finish. I was so rude. I'm so sorry. Look, what do you think about?
No, I agree. That's what I think. I think that it's alchemy. I think when you look at how many people are tuned in, it's like, you know how much energy that is? It's a lot of energy.
What did you think about? Okay, what did you think about the Usher Super Bowl with Alicia Keys?
I actually didn't watch that, but I think that the energy of shock value or to get people's emotions riled into something, that's just a lot of it's vampiric. And somebody, whoever is vamping, they're gonna use it. So that's the first thing. That's what I think. Anytime I see anything that creates shock or emotion, I think that it is vampirism.
Hmm. I
Right?
don't think I think that because I don't think you saw it like you said, but I think the whole appearance of Alicia Keys in her red dress or her red outfit on the piano had a lot like was very magical. And Usher, his name being Usher, and him having a rising phoenix symbolism on his outfit was very interesting. It's like I'm just gonna give those symbols right there. So you have this lady on a piano wearing a sparkly red dress with a huge cape. And then you have a guy named Usher um, with a rising phoenix. So, I mean, that's transformation right there. That's like straight up alchemical symbol. So they were doing alchemy right there, of course, and his blue and his red.
I forgot
A lot
about
of,
the red dress.
yes, he was doing a lot of red and blue, which is like literally alchemical colors for the. Anyway, so
Mm,
yeah. So if you
wow.
can watch it and break it down, I don't know.
I'm watching. Um, w- um, yeah, that woman in the red dress is that's a serious, like what's that, blood on the dance floor,
Mhm.
and
And
also in the Matrix.
and how the world or the people reacted to him flirting with her on stage, not caring that she was married.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I thought that was some vampirism.
And of course, everybody knows her backstory about how she got her husband. Very similar to somebody I know very closely. But anyway, her red dress. So she was playing a role. She was playing her role. He was playing his role.
Entertainers.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
so, like, a lot of people don't catch that. They just see the face value of things. They just see the surface level. Not everybody, but a lot of people. But some people see deeper, or they want to see deeper. But a lot of people just see, oh, this is some good music, and oh, I like that dress. but they don't see the deeper meaning behind people playing characters and creating frequencies and creating thoughts and like symbolism in people's mind to activate a certain frequency on the planet and go on for so on and so forth. Like you said, vampirism.
Yep.
It's on that level, but I think to an occultist, it's not vampirism because they can decode it. But to some people that aren't able to decode it, it is vampirism.
I can see that. I see that. Yep. Yep. I agree. I agree.
So do you think in order to not be a victim of vampirism, you have to be able to decode it and understand what it is that's being done or seen?
Absolutely.
And then effect on you?
I agree. Yes.
Okay. Someone says, can weather be controlled? Duh.
Come on now.
I think that's scientific proof that can happen now.
Yeah. Just ask ChatGPT.
Okay. Like long time ago when I was talking about it, people didn't believe it, but I think it's now it's scientific fact.
Yeah.
Because like you read the book of Enoch, right?
Yep.
It talks about it in there that they got machines that control the weather. They've been had it forever.
Yeah.
So just because like we think modern times that all technology has been created in this dimension in this modern time, that's not true. There's inventions, sound frequencies, and some inventions are natural. Like they use like technology as far as sounds, waves, frequencies versus metal, gears and all this kind of stuff. Or so
Yep.
highest form of technology doesn't need material.
Nope.
So, and okay, I know you know this. Who controls the highest form of that technology that doesn't need material?
Who?
Or what? Who or what controls the highest form that doesn't need material? So sound frequencies, like nature things. What controls nature?
The gods, the planets.
Okay, so it's like if people start to get into this philosophical discussion on who controls the frequencies, who can they source the frequency back to? Because I know you talked about this on the last video.
What did I say?
The source of frequency.
The source of frequency? What is it? Is it sound?
Yeah, the source of sound.
The source of sound. Darkness. Dark to light. The light to then sound and then matter.
So okay. No, I guess the question is, why is there sound?
Why there's sound? Because of desire for matter, desire for creation.
Somebody said the government.
The government.
Well,
Yes.
biblically, in the beginning, there was nothing. There was the void, and then there was the word. So somebody spoke.
Yeah.
Somebody thought, and then they spoke.
They spoke and thought because of the desire. Right? Yeah. And the sound put everything into motion. But there was a what you call it? The desire created a throb or a spundle. Right? And this is like universal arousal. So it's serious. It's a sexual operation.
I mean, in a scientific way, that's the best way to explain it to get people to understand it.
Yep.
So, like, but going back to the cat, like, the interdimensional frequencies of a cat. They're the only animal that chose to domesticate themselves by free will. Did you know that?
I can see that.
They were the only animals that didn't need to be caught, captured, and domesticated and trained. They came on their own free will.
You know, one thing about the cat is that they remain majestic
Hmm.
even when domesticated.
Hmm. They do what they want. And that's why so many, like, that's why they're so revered, because they don't have to be here.
They're royal.
Uh, they're literally like the energy that doesn't have to do anything for you but chooses to. You know what I'm saying? Or they
Yeah,
don't have to domesticate themselves in your presence, because they can literally survive without us. They
yep.
chose they chose to interact with humans and become part of their world on purpose and not by force. And I feel like,
The-
people always talk about, cats and stuff like that, but like in ancient Egypt, they worship cats because they saw them, like you said, as royalty or as gods,
y-
goddesses.
You know, the cat is the greatest reader of the aura.
Hmm.
If you invite someone into your home and the cat doesn't like them, that person is going to absolutely do something bad to you.
Hmm.
Or if the cat loves them, that person is going to be very good to you. They
Hmm.
can see the aura in ways that we cannot,
Hmm.
and they are not going to be wrong. And this is why the witches kept cats around.
That's true. Um, so if what would some people don't like cats because they got a bad rap, or people said that they were evil because witches owned them. And so you have like a whole group of people that are superstitious and don't like cats because of, like, people told them this and this and that. But if you really get into the occult knowledge of it, cats are like the best animal to have around, because they can see more than you can see. They can heal you. They can
Yeah.
sense more.
A-
Like if Yeah.
Actually, dogs are more prone to harboring negative energies, negative demonic energies, and they are more prone to host more dangerous and negative energies than cats. So that's something that everybody should think about.
Well, that's true. Even in Egyptian, the Egyptian pantheon, the dog Anubis represented death
Mhm.
and judgment.
Dogs can carry a lot of negative energy, bad luck, and all that type of stuff. Cats are more prone to expel that stuff, and they are very good at picking up on that stuff and
Hmm.
deflecting against it.
Hmm. And yeah, I definitely feel that. And I think that's why they made like Bast like the mother and child protector, because when women get pregnant or when a woman becomes a mother, her senses increase to a higher level. Like our taste buds increase, our smell increase, our sound like our hearing increase, because we have to protect the children, or the house, from things that can hurt or harm the kids. So I noticed my taste buds, my smell, and everything, my hearing got sharper when I became a mother.
Mhm.
Because like if you smell like the food is not good, or if you taste something, you're going to take it from your child automatically. So our senses are heightened after we become mothers, definitely.
Mhm. Yep.
And so I think that's why they associated like certain deities with motherhood and things like that with the cat, because their senses are high too, and they're very protective.
Yep.
um what The breeding practices of dogs are deplorable. Providing Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't mean to read that. It's just like I don't know. You said cats are aliens. Somebody said cats are aliens. There's that theory, yeah. What do you think about that? Are cats aliens?
I think all animals. Mm.
Yeah, that's true if you think about it. Noah's Ark story.
Noah's Ark.
You never know. I mean, that could have been a metaphor for a spaceship and getting all the animals, taking them to another place to. You never know. Like ancient aliens be breaking stuff down in every type of way.
Yes, I used to watch that a lot.
You know what, I stopped watching it because I started to see stuff and it was funny to me. Like, okay, ancient aliens, whatever. But they, it was a good show because I like the history of it. Like when they went back into the ancient cultural histories and traveled.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the graphics. I think
Mhm,
some of the explanations were terrible with certain
mhm.
things.
'Cause because they couldn't say it. They wanted to say it, but they would show it in the picture, but
Yeah,
they wouldn't say it. You see
yeah,
that? They would show you, but they would say something different.
yeah. I noticed that. Yeah,
They would have like the truth right there, but then they would say something totally opposite just to throw so they wouldn't get in trouble or they would throw it everybody off. They
right.
would show you exactly what they wanted to show you, and then they would say something stupid. So yeah, like, but if the visuals are there, you watch it with no sound, you might be all right.
Word.
That's very insightful. I like to learn more. Yeah, okay. Because people are talking to each other. But yeah, watch Ancient Aliens with the sound off. Then you'll understand. You said what? Dogs like Anubis were defined in early Egypt too. Yes. Defied. Deified. Okay. Yeah. But what were they the deity of?
Death, the
Exactly.
underworld.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I I know there's a lot of people that love dogs, so you don't want to get on their bad side, but cats are superior to dogs. I'm so sorry.
Cats are better.
just by frequency alone. Just like if you're gonna look at this, like Nikola Tesla said, if you're gonna see stuff in frequency, just cats are higher frequency. Just say that. Scientifically, cats are higher frequency. That's it. None. Can't argue with it. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Literally, they are. You ever seen that movie? What was that movie? I can't remember the name of it. Keanu Reeves, and he had that cat in his lap, his feet in a bowl of water on a carpet. So and he had to transport himself to another dimension to see if this girl's sister was still there. What was that movie?
I don't know.
He had to hold a
What was
cat.
that? What movie is this?
He had to hold a cat in his lap as a conduit to transport himself. Constantine. Okay, thank you, AJ. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Oh, I never
Constantine.
seen Constantine.
You don't watch that? Watch Constantine. You're gonna see a lot of crazy, like occult stuff in it.
All right.
So I don't like this girl's sister had died and she wanted to communicate with her, and Keanu Reeves was Constantine. Like, and he was like he killed demons or something. I don't know.
And he used the cat as a conduit.
Yeah, he said, I'm gonna need a bowl of water, a chair, and give me that cat. And he stuck his feet in a bowl of water. He was on a carpet, like a Persian carpet on the floor, stuck his feet in a bowl of water, sat in a chair, put a cat on his lap and held it, and then closed his eyes and started doing something. And then all of a sudden he was transported into a place like full of fire. It looked like the sun or something, like
That's
they were on the surface of the sun. And he kept seeing all these souls and energies and people that had been like dead and they were still in like hell or what you call it, limbo or something, right? So Constantine, you got to watch that
that's
because he
deep.
he used the cat as a conduit to take himself to a higher frequency because the cat and electricity and water, I think she shocked him too or something. I don't know.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, it was a whole
Wow.
alchemical scene right there.
Hmm.
And they used the cat. This is weird.
That's interesting. Hey, do you have a cat?
Mm-hmm. I got two.
Oh, me too.
What kind of cats you got?
Them regular tabbies, But you know, I used to have Maine Coons back in the day.
Ooh, those are big. I got a black
Yeah.
cat tuxedo.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was. I've always had cats since I was a kid.
Me too. Ever since I was a kid, I never lived without cats ever. Hmm.
They got their little own personalities and an attitude too. But they're
Yeah.
sweet.
Hmm.
You said, so yeah, go watch Constantine and I'm gonna get that book, Arabian Nights. Then we're gonna have something
Yes,
to talk
I bet.
about. Anyway, I don't want to hold you all night. But
All right.
thank you for being here again. Thank you for being a guest. If y'all want to reach out to Terraine, his information is in the description bar, or you could give us your information now. Everybody get y'all's pens,
Yeah.
papers.
Text me ASAP. 917-605-1469. Especially if you want to check out my Patreon because it got nothing but meditation music on it. Y'all would love it. And that's all I got for y'all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Mama
Yep.
say Mama Makusa. All right, y'all. I bet you had to go to the bathroom. Because I know sometimes I'll be on here and I'll be trying to hurry up and get off too because I got to go to the bathroom. Thank you, Terraine. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Anyway, we had to let him go because, you know, I don't think a lot of people are used to being on YouTube as long as I am because I could be on here for 4 or 5 hours. It don't bother me. Okay. But I'm not going to be on here too long. But if y'all want to ask me some questions, I'm still here. Thank you, Terraine. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I don't know if he's still watching. Okay. You said your cat is obsessed with you. That's how you know your frequency is high. Yes. And you know, but just by petting a cat, it dispels all the negative energy that you may have encountered throughout the day, or negative like people's energy that you may have like gotten on you or in you. If you pet a cat, they naturally like get rid of that negative energy. It has something to do with their frequency and their ions and their fur and stuff like that too. And the highest vibrating cat is the black cat. So if you want the highest of the high, get you a black cat. It's the most highest frequency of cat. It's the healthiest. They visit the vet the very least because their immune system is the highest as well. So if you want to get you a new pet, go ahead and get you a cat. And get you a black cat if you want the highest frequency cat. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Tuxedo cats too, but they're not. They're a little crazy though. Tuxedo cats they got a different type of personality. They're very playful. Yeah. So, but they're sweet too. And they're mostly black. They have like a little tuxedo and they have like little white tips on their paws. It's kind of cute. Uh-huh. I've had all types of cats though throughout my life. Except the hairless cat, because like I think you have to buy those. Like you can't just go and adopt them. I've always like done adopted cats. You said black cats are their own species. Yes. So it's cold here in Texas finally, and somebody had the nerve to turn the air conditioner on. My daughters. So I'm in here freezing. You said Janet Jackson, Black Cat, lots of gems in her song and video. Yeah. I used to love that song. I still do. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Um, how many of y'all have cats? If you don't have one, you should definitely have one in your lifetime. I definitely think everyone should have a cat at least once in their life. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Anyway, what? Trying to read some of these questions. You want to get a cat now, and your name is Cat. You should. Someone's name was Cat, and then now they want a cat. Girl, if your name is Cat, go get one. Okay. What if a person doesn't like cats? What about cats don't you like? Because that's going to be the reason that, I mean, that's going to be, part of the answer of why you don't like them. Like, why? What are the reasons? Do you fear them? Are you scared of them? Do you not like how they are? Like, what is it about cats that you don't like? That's the question you should ask. And then you can go from there, because sometimes it's like somebody said the litter box. Yeah, nobody liked the litter box. That's not the cat. Okay. I think some people say they don't like cats because they're sneaky and they're too quiet, or they're unpredictable, or they do what they want and they don't seek attention like dogs do. I don't know. The litter box is probably the only thing that most people don't like about having a cat. But some people have like those little cat doors on their house where they can go outside in the yard or something. You said cats mind their business. I know that's right. People don't like their free will. Humans like slaves, like dogs, something to control. What? Well, I don't know why people don't like cats. I mean, mm-mm. You said, do I believe in hell? No, I don't. I don't think most occultists believe in hell. I think that's a Christian concept or a religious concept. I don't think it's a spiritual concept. So it's a religious concept. It's not something that most people that study the occult and stuff like that believe in, unless it's a symbol for something. You know what I mean? Okay. If you start seeing everything as frequencies, you'll see what's what. If you start seeing everything as symbols, you'll see why they're, the meanings of the symbols and why this, and that. So you're not going to just believe everything blindly anymore. You're going to see the symbolism in it, and you're going to understand the metaphor. Okay. You say alchemists don't believe in hell. No. Occultists, alchemists, they don't believe in any of that, because it's a metaphor for something. Uh-huh. You said cats equal rebellious and freedom. Mm-hmm. Just think of the power you would have if someone tried to tell you something like, "Oh, you're gonna go to hell." I'm like, I don't believe in that. That's like saying I'm going to Oz. So it literally takes your, other people's power away that try to condemn you to a place that's fictional and does not exist, but only in metaphor and symbolism. So, for example, like, so- they try to condemn you to some place in Lord of the Rings, and you like, that's not real. So it's kind of like it becomes on that level of comedy when someone tries their hardest to condemn you somewhere because they're trying to judge you for something that they learned about, after they got brainwashed with something. And like I don't believe that. I'm not going to Oz. I'm not going to that place in um Lord of the Rings. I'm not going over there. So it's kind of like on that same level when people start talking about, well, you're going here and this is what's going to happen to you. I'm like, I don't believe in that. So whatever. Okay. So it has no power, and there's no authority and no power there because it's like a fictional place. You said, do I believe in demons? No, I don't believe in demons. Frequencies. If you look at stuff from an alchemical and a scientific perspective, and you can call stuff different stuff. Do you believe in? I ain't never seen a demon, but I've seen a person do bad things. I've seen a person's frequency change. I've seen a person unable to control their emotions, and they do stupid stuff. If you want to believe in whatever you want to believe in, that's a frequency that you're choosing to step on and become part of temporary. Like I always say, believe what you want to believe in temporarily and then step right off. You know what I'm saying? It's like cosplay. It's like stepping into a fantasy world and then going home and taking off the costume and, doing whatever you were doing prior. It's like dressing up to in a Harry Potter costume, going to whatever type of Harry Potter function they're having at, whatever, and then being a part of that world for 2 seconds, 2 hours, then going home, taking it off, and, putting your pajamas on and going to sleep and getting up and making waffles in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You can temporarily immerse yourself into something and take yourself right back out of it. It's all frequency. It's all symbolism. It's all fiction. It's all metaphor. Only you and your frequency make it a reality if you immerse yourself into the belief of it permanently or temporarily. Now, some people permanently immerse themselves in certain beliefs and religions, and they have a problem getting in and out. But see, like the cat energy, that's multi-dimensional and can hop from this realm to this realm. You got to have that cat energy to be able to learn about something, but not attach yourself to it so deeply that you become immersed in that world and can never escape. So that's my take on it. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in temporarily, as long as you're not immersed in that world permanently, because you don't understand that it's your frequency and your power that controls it all. So let's say you have a book. You don't know what this book is about, and you open it up and you start reading it, and now it's about something, and now you're fully immersed in it, and you're starting to take whatever the fantasy and the fiction is into like consideration that it could be true, and then you start vibrating on the frequency that something in this book could be true. And then you may see it somewhere else, and someone is saying it's true, or that it could be true. And if so many people say something could be true 1,000,000 times for 1,000 years, it could be true, and people will be vibrating on the frequency that it is true, because it could be. You see the difference? But if you understand that it's metaphor and that people believe in the same story and tell the same story over and over and over for thousands of years, in order to keep the symbolism and the metaphor in place to teach the lesson, because it's a lesson that a lot of people don't understand. They just listening to the literal story of it, when they don't realize that the symbolisms are put in place for different reasons. And you can immerse yourself and take yourself out at any given time because it's just information. Then you don't fear anything, and you're not stuck in a belief system that's only supposed to have been metaphor and symbolism. Okay. So that's the reason why. Because a lot of people are stuck and they don't know why. They're stuck in a fantasy that they got brainwashed into to believe was real. And the longer you stay immersed in a belief system, the more real it becomes to you. That's why people will literally go to war and fight and argue all day about a belief system, because the longer you stay immersed into it, the realer it becomes to you. Okay. Okay. Just like the Wizard of Oz. The longer Dorothy stayed in Oz, the realer it became to her until she woke up. Okay. Then she's like, okay. What do I have planned for tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. Something fun, of course. How do we make our ideal beliefs come true? Um, you have to speak it into existence. Thank you, Yaya Goddess. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Tips for frequency in Houston, moving from LA soon. Okay. Houston is a very diverse city. There's lots of different cultures here, lots of different types of people here. It's a chill, laid back place. They say Houston is like a small town, but a big city vibe. You know what I'm saying? The people are nice, like it's a small town, but it's big city vibe. But a lot of people are more laid back here. It's southern. But there's lots of different people from different places too. So you'll see a lot of people from different countries as well, and different ethnic backgrounds and stuff like that. The food is good. They have a lot of like fun stuff to do. So I said just immerse yourself in things that you're drawn to. That's fun. Okay. Can I explain speaking something into existence? In the beginning, there was the void. The first chapter in the Bible. That's an example of speaking things into existence. That's the metaphor. The world literally was not created by some person sitting there talking. Okay, when you speak things into existence, you create your world. It's a metaphor. So, what you talk about, what you speak about, is what's going to be created in your life. So, talk about what you want. Talk about what you want to see all the time. Like, I'm always talking about money. I'm always talking about this. I'm always talking about that. Whatever. Talk about what you want to see, what you want to create in your world. Thank you, Kim. Sprinkle, sprinkle. You said, how can you find out what's in your junk DNA? Close your eyes and speak to yourself and ask yourself to reveal what's in your junk DNA. Uh-oh. Charmaine, sprinkle, sprinkle. Thank you for dumbing down the esoteric. Finished your dark energy playlist. It's missing piece to a puzzle you're trying to understand in your journey. Thank you, girl. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching it. Yeah, somebody said use your imagination. How to open your heart chakra fast. Why would you want to open your heart chakra? Your heart chakra will naturally open when it's supposed to. You can't force it open. Like, honestly, like some people are like, well, how do you open your heart chakra? If ain't nobody around there to make it want to open, then it's not going to open. Okay, sprinkle, sprinkle. Open it for yourself, not other people. So if you're going to open your heart chakra for yourself, you have to start with self-love. Okay, love yourself. Your heart chakra should open just for you, just for yourself. Uh, that's what a lot of people don't realize. They want to open their heart chakra to be nicer to other people, to love other people, to be able to be close to other people. If you can't open it for yourself, you can't open it for nobody else. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Someone says pink tourmaline, rose quartz crystal. Yeah, if you want crystals and stuff, yeah. It helps you to, it helps you to feel, of the frequency and of love, and it helps you to expand that frequency. But if it's closed and you can't open it up, you could definitely wear those colors, pink, and use crystals and all that kind of stuff. But usually when you're around people that don't allow you to feel the way you want to feel, it's not going to be open. Sprinkle, sprinkle. How do you know your spiritual origins? From occultist told me that you are a demon, but you took it with a grain of salt, and I'm really curious about the topic ever since. The funny thing is, a demon ain't a human. And if you believe and if you read about anything, they're not human. Just like there's different realms and different frequencies and different beliefs and different symbolisms. Like you can't just say that you're this and you're that. That's like telling a demon they're a human. Thank you, Goddess Laurel. Sprinkle, sprinkle. What is junk DNA? Look it up on Google, ma'am. It's DNA that has not been explained by science. That's part of the DNA, but they can't explain it. They don't know what it's for. But they know what it's for. If you ever watched X-Men and they were trying to activate these mutants, powers, and they had to do all these crazy things in order to activate their powers, that's literally them trying to activate their junk DNA. So, mm-hmm. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I think more people need to focus on like their frequency as a whole. Mm-hmm. Because like, say all is mind. How do you transmute overthinking? Simplify it. You know how I break down stuff and make it the most simplest explanation to where a child could understand it? Simplify it. Whatever it is you're overthinking about. Explain it as if you were trying to explain it to a child. Simplify everything, because if you overthink stuff, you try to do too much, that's where it gets messed up. When you get to a point where you have to over explain everything and overthink everything and over describe everything to sound like you know what you're talking about, that's when people start not to know what they're talking about, or to overthink and get overstimulated. When you're a child and you can speak in simple terms and get your point across, like if that's the highest frequency right there, because there's no filler information. It's just straight up what you need to know. Thank you, little angel. Sprinkle, sprinkle. This is why proverbs, quotes, from like philosophers and people that, wrote profound things. That's why it's short and sweet. It's not a long paragraph, because if you simplify something, you get the meaning faster and you don't overthink it. Mm-hmm. Sprinkle, sprinkle. You said, I appreciate that you speak direct and don't gatekeep the knowledge by speaking in code like some other. I speak in code sometimes because, a lot of people I don't know, like when you tell too much or when you giving too much information to people that aren't ready for it, some people feel like it's not right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. There's a whole thing there where people don't think it's right for they don't think you've earned it or they don't think you sought it out. And if you don't seek something out, it's not supposed to come to you, right? So I don't know. And like I said, some people aren't ready for the information because they scared of everything. They be scared of too much stuff and they don't understand that things are symbolic. And so they just be walking around scared of their own shadow half the time. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. You said watching your videos is seeking it out. No, it's not. It's seeking it out to an extent, but not on a deeper level. It's a lazy way. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's the lazy way because back in the old days, you had to literally read, do research, decode, translate. Like if you don't have notebooks and books and pens and translations and decoding, if you don't have, you know, any of those things, then you're not doing the real work. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't realize that. You can't just tell somebody something because they're not going to believe it until they see it and understand it for themselves and um, figure it out for themselves and get the feeling of, because the whole point of learning is to raise your frequency. If someone tells you something, that don't raise your frequency. But if you search for it, learn it, understand it in and out, sideways, upside down, and backwards, and in different symbols, signs, languages, pantheons, and so forth and so on, it literally raises your frequency to a higher level of understanding. And you start to see it, you know, in more than one places and things start to literally decode themselves and you don't have to do as much researching anymore. But if you don't get to that type of knowledge on your own, you're not going to be vibrating on a higher frequency. So somebody said it's a lifestyle. Exactly. So I can tell you something, you can repeat it, but that doesn't mean you have the frequency that's supposed to come with getting that knowledge. That's what it is. Yeah, you said describing a spiritual awakening. Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting the frequency with the spiritual awakening that you're trying to acquire. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like it's not fair to the actual person because they're not getting the same frequency. They're not vibrating high enough with the knowledge that they have that they're supposed to be vibrating at. It's kind of like it's kind of like you getting a title or a position, but you're not getting a paycheck to go with it. You still get minimum wage. Get it? It's like that. Hmm. You said what triggered your spiritual awakening? I was very young, and I think I was like just always interested in like weird stuff. I could see things on a higher frequency. I was like very, very aware of a lot of things. So I always was interested in like the paranormal and superstition things, like superstitious stuff, paranormal stuff, ghosts and all stuff. Started reading about it. Favorite movie were horror movies. You know, seeing a lot of stuff as kids that, you know, you're more sensitive as a child, so you see a lot of stuff. Just wanting to start reading books on the occult, teaching myself, learn tarot and all this kind of stuff. It was just a childhood interest in like a lot of um, interesting things that happen. like seeing stuff that, most kids see, but they lose when they become an adult. But there's just a lot of cool stuff that led me on paths to deeper thinking and occult knowledge. It's fun though, because it's like a constant um, stream of knowledge that you can get. hmm hmm Yeah, I got into books early, like in fifth grade. I started reading occult books. hmm All right. I was reading tarot cards by the sixth grade, making money on reading tarot cards by the seventh grade. So, yep. And it wasn't the tarot cards. That was just an added bonus. I started researching, you know, a lot of stuff before I even got into tarot cards. So that was just something like extra on the side. hmm How did people react towards me? They liked it. They thought it was cool. They asked me to read their cards, and I charged them. So they acted like customers. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay. Did my family and friends freak out? Not really. They already knew I was weird. They probably expected it. So that's about right. Mm-hmm. mm-hmm. When you got a weird child, your child's always checking out books on ghosts, witches, spells. Like that's just what they're interested. They love horror movies. That's just the direction that they're gonna go in. It's not a surprise. Okay. Yeah, we already discussed the sound frequencies. You missed the whole thing, but definitely watch it from the beginning because we had a special guest once again. We had Terraine Hicks on, and we were talking about music, the music industry, and all that good stuff. So if y'all weren't checking it out from the beginning, definitely rewind or get it from the beginning when this is done. But I'm getting ready to sign off anyway. But definitely, I'm getting ready to end this video. But then I'll be back on next week, hopefully. You said, why do you lose your ability to see spirits? Because you vibrate on a different frequency when you get older. And you don't know as much negativity. And you're literally vibrating on a higher frequency as a child because you don't know as much about this world yet in order to stop you from seeing it. Like you don't know your limitations yet. Okay. Like I saw this little video, like children are literally fearless. They don't know what danger is. And so their awareness is on a higher frequency than ours because fear lowers your frequency. So as an adult, as you get older, you learn the dangers and this and that of this world, of this dimension. And so your frequency naturally lowers to a certain point than a child's does because they don't know all the dangers and they don't have all the fears that an adult has. They haven't experienced things to make those fears relevant. So their frequency is naturally higher. Okay. You can't unlearn fear if you've experienced it, but what you can do is stay as unbothered as possible and not react to things that aren't meant for you. So when y'all ask me why I don't read the news or watch the news or deal with certain people or do certain things, it's because it's not meant for me. And unless I want that information, I'll have to seek it out on my own. I don't just allow it in my life unnecessarily because it does lower your frequency. So you got to be careful, like what you allow yourself to experience, the people the stories, the news stories, and the negative energies that bring your frequency down or raise your fear frequency to where that lowers your frequency and your ability to see and experience certain things, you know. So a lot of people watch the news daily. They get all the bad information. They get all the bad feelings. They get all the bad frequencies and vibrations, and they go tell somebody else about it, how horrible the world is, and all this kind of stupid stuff, and bring their frequency down. And then they say, "Oh, woe is me," and then they start feeling a certain way, and then they're bringing their own frequency down. If we stop doing that and just mind our business, then a lot of times your frequency will rise back up to a certain point, maybe not as high as it was when you were a child, but higher than it would be if you weren't around as many, negative things. Mm-hmm. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Yeah, I don't watch all that stuff. Like, I didn't even know what was happening. I only try to watch what's locally happening because, like, literally in my neighborhood, that's about it. Because that's what's supposed to affect me. Mm-hmm. What do you say if you think someone calls you a witch as an insult? It's not an insult. I'll say, "Ah," I don't know, whatever Elphaba said on Wicked, whatever she's saying. Um, I don't I don't really care. What would you say? I don't know. What are some things that could block a manifestation from happening? Thinking about a manifestation being blocked. That's what's stopping it. Do y'all understand? Like, if literally, like, you're typing it out right there, just that right there, that's what stops it. The thought of it not working. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, if y'all ever notice, everything I do, I don't do it in fear. So I don't have like any type of fear when it comes to anything that I approach. Um, so definitely try to vibrate on that frequency of not having that type of fear. Of whatever you're going to approach, whatever you're going to do, have no fear. That's how you keep your frequency high and manifest better. You don't have the fear that it's not going to work. When you don't have the fear of this and that, blah, blah, blah. Your frequency can go so much higher when there's no fear and no doubt. Mm-hmm. Mm, 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 mm. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I don't take like whenever like y'all are a lot of questions that y'all are asking. It seems like you read a book and you got some instructions and now you're following some type of like something. I'm more of the person that I just did what I wanted, whatever felt right, whatever made me happy, things like that. Like, I never really subscribed to one particular thing for any type of belief system or anything. I just did what felt fun, right, interesting, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Someone says, "Are you a real witch or an Eastern star?" I'm a goddess. Okay. Every time y'all be asking me that, I tell y'all the same answer. Y'all still asking me the same question. I keep trying to tell y'all. Okay. Your gold elixir has been shipped. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Nikki, for getting my elixirs. I appreciate you. You said, "Is being delusional good?" Only if it makes you vibrate on a higher frequency to get what you want. Okay. Do I believe in anxiety? I believe it's a frequency that can be changed. Let's change your frequency. The frequency of change your frequency to be unbothered, to stop caring, to do something fun, to do what you want. Just don't overthink. Change your diet, because changing your diet definitely changes your frequency. Drink more water, listen to different types of music, change your frequency. And when people say change your frequency, that includes all of the stuff I just said: changing your diet, changing what you listen to, changing what you look at, changing your social media, whatever you're getting on social media. Change it up to something that raises your frequency rather than lowers it. So if you take a person that is at peace and living in bliss and take a person with anxiety, they're going to have totally different habits, be doing totally different things, be eating totally different foods, and be living in totally different types of environments. But one ain't got what the other one got because they don't have the same frequency, because they're doing different things, making different choices. Okay. So just depending on what choices you're making on a daily basis, on what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're listening to, what you're ingesting on social media, that's what's going to make it change or stay the same. Hmm. Listen to Beyonce to raise your frequency, chicken McNuggets. Listen to whoever makes you feel happy and whoever music you really enjoy, to where when you're done listening to it, you feel better than before. So that could be whatever artist you like. I like Beyonce. I like Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Prince. I like all the old school. I like Lupe Fiasco, Jay-Z, Kanye. Because their music and their messages and their music is really stuff that I like to listen to and agree with. I love Rihanna. I listen to all those artists because they have very good messages in their songs, and yeah, good lyrics, good music. Hmm. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Um, what makes you believe results what provided it for you? What makes you believe result? No, it's a choice. There's nothing that makes me. It's a choice. Okay, so people don't understand that belief is a choice because they've been brainwashed or forced into their belief system. But when you're not forced into a belief system, it literally is a choice. Think about it like that. If your parents never forced you into any belief system, and you got to choose what you wanted to believe in or what direction you wanted to go spiritually. It's never supposed to be forced. It's always supposed to be a choice. That's where everybody went left. If you choose what you want to believe, that's how you are able to learn about things without always having to believe in them. You get it? So if you were going to read a book, let's say if you were going to read, if you weren't Christian and you chose to pick up a Bible and read it, you're not going to believe it because you're not Christian, right? So because you're not forced, you weren't forced into that religion. It's just a book to you at some point, or just a different type of holy book. That's not something that was forced upon you to believe in. So you don't automatically believe it because you have a choice to read it, get the information, and decide whether or not it's something believable to you or not. Okay. So if you don't have free will, you're not really believing in anything. You're forced and brainwashed. So understand that. It's not a belief system if it was forced upon you. It was a brainwash. In order to believe something, someone has to present it to you, and you have to free willingly accept it. Otherwise, it's not a belief. It's brainwash. Y'all got to understand that. Some of y'all believe something because it was forced on you. Not because you wanted to believe it. Not because it was believable. And when something is not forced on you, you see it from a whole different perspective. Okay? Sprinkle, sprinkle. The answer is within us. Let it guide you. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answer. Whatever you want to do. Believe it, don't believe it, do some research, go listen to some music, have fun, live your life. You know, it's not that serious. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that meat lowers your frequency? Chicken, beef. Um, I believe certain energy that's not alive paired with something that is living definitely would lower that life force's energy temporarily. I mean, if you understand the digestive system, you might understand a little bit better. Um, so like, understanding anatomy and how your digestive system works, when you have to digest a certain thing, your body is putting out more energy and putting in more work to burn certain things that it wouldn't have to be doing if it didn't have to digest them. So your organs are working harder to detox your body when certain things are put into it. So that may temporarily lower your frequency and make your body work harder than it should be working, or your organs work harder than they should be working in certain, amounts. I don't ever down people for whatever they're eating. I'm just saying some people overdo it. And yes, it can temporarily, certain foods, even alcohol, even different types of food can temporarily lower your frequency because of what your body has to do to digest it. Okay. But if you understand science, then bring it back up. Mm-hmm. Is what you like loving the late night combo? Yeah, I'm about to get off. I gotta go, y'all. But thank y'all for being on this channel. I appreciate it. Hopefully y'all learned something. And if you weren't here earlier, I had a guest on, Terraine Hicks. He was on here earlier and we were talking about the sound frequencies and the occult and music industry and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check that out. And subscribe to this channel too if you like this type of information and talk. I try to come over here maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks if I have the time. But usually I might get into it a little bit more. We'll see. We'll try to do it like more often. I always say that, but sometimes I get busy and things like that. But definitely going to have more stuff to talk about soon. Y'all want to suggest any future topics? Definitely leave them in the permanent comments, and I'll take a look and see what it is. And I'll see y'all on the next one.